Uh, huh. How's it going, everyone?
Huh?
And welcome to another episode of No Excuses with your favorite show host, Aristill.
Fenarian?
Volacel, and we're all
Hey.
three of us here together without any prophecies of imminent departure, right, Fern?
No doom in the near future for a change.
So we can bring you what passes for a semi-normal show.
Yes.
I'm
For
hoping, anyway.
for those wondering why I was freaking out, namely my co-host, because the viewers could definitely see it. Vols Ningwang was standing on my head.
I sent you a
Okay.
screenshot of what it looked like from my point of view.
Oh,
Is it cursed?
I was standing on his head.
Right.
Oh yes.
Yes, we're here to bring you the latest news and games commentary for the week, although I don't know how much general news there was, because I sure as heck didn't see any.
Lots of pointless
But
drama.
pointless drama do seem to be the way of things lately, yes indeed. But
Yes.
When we get
if
to
you'd like to
Blue
get involved with the
Archive, I'm
show,
going to be so mad at some people.
if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw. You can join us in the Discord server, which you can get to by clicking on the link provided in the show description on the archive on YouTube.
Indeed. All right, Fern needs to do some weekly bosses, so starting with Doggo as usual. Go.
Yeah. So I haven't touched Genshin all week, and I touched it first thing this morning, and I immediately got just absolutely tilted. That 50-50 Chi-Chi, yo.
She's so guileless. She doesn't mean any harm.
But 50-50 Chi-Chi is the absolute worst outcome you can get.
I still have yet to pull a Chi-Chi.
How have you not gotten a Chi-Chi?
I don't think I
I've
have.
got several Dayas.
Yeah,
I've got
Daya.
several Monas.
Yeah, I'm riding the Dayamona train too. I don't think I have a Chi Chi either. I don't. No.
I've gotten one
Huh.
Zhong.
I think I've got like Con 4 Chi-Chi now. Let me have a look. I
Really?
know she's... Yeah, I've gotten... Like, that desire sensor cuts both ways. Where is she? Chi-Chi. What is your constellation, Chi-Chi? Oh, no, only Con 2.
So you got 3 Chi Chis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her bell goes ding dong ding dong. There we go.
Oh, that's the angel in Shadowverse that says ding dong ding dong.
She does say ding dong ding dong. But she's
Ding.
significantly more useful than Chi-Chi.
Gonna ding your
This
dong.
week, YouTube has been recommending me videos about the Ding Dong Angel. I don't know why.
It's just so sweet. And
For-
it's a very good early game draw power.
I mean, there will be various variants of Bellringer Angel released because Bellringer Angel is a meme now.
Well, these are
Yes.
lore videos, apparently.
Is there lore about
no.
Bellringer Angel? I guess there
But
is
if
now.
people are making videos about it,
I guess so.
She's a little angel who goes ding dong ding dong. That's it. That's her
Oh.
lore.
It says ding dong, and I'll always watch over you.
Yes.
People, especially the English community, fell in love with her ding dong.
Yeah. That was a rather disturbing way of saying it, but yes. Dig, no. Alright, so I guess we'll dive into weeks. I didn't do a whole lot of Shadowverse either. I really kind of want to, but I just haven't had time this week because, oh dear hell.
I thought it was drunk cowboy hell, not deer hell.
Well, there is no Shikanoko going on here, thankfully. But yeah, there was drunk cowboys on top of everything else. So yeah. We don't have weeks that busy very often. This is probably the top 1% of busy weeks we ended up with. So yeah. So yeah, one of those weeks where everything just went wrong. I mean, it was profitable, but oh boy. This doggo. I hate this phase because it's just running around in circles.
The jellyfish. Set up a target for you, doggo.
Cutscene. Where the hell am I? Over there. Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had a whole lot of time to do too much this week. Shadowverse, basically, I've just been logging on every day to get my cards, and that's it.
There's currently an arena event going on right now that's not draft arena yet, but it's you just register with one deck and play 5 matches, and you get a reward based on how many of those you won. And if you win enough of them, you qualify for the next round. The next after a few days.
5 matches does not take very long at all. Maybe half an hour or so, depending on how long your matches go for. Okay, well that is Doggo. All right. What did I actually do this week? Not a whole lot. There's a new expansion out for RimWorld, which I've dabbled on just a little bit, but I haven't really got too in depth of it. I can see this one causing a lot of salts, though, because a lot of the stuff they've added in this expansion is all previously stuff that was in very popular mods.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly the let's go to space mechanic. So yeah, that was a series of very, very large and very popular mods, and now it's in the base game. So yeah. It doesn't work the same as the mods, but yeah. So yeah, I do like me some RimWorld. I do like having a character who can start building a small robot empire, only be taken out by a rabid rabbit for absolutely no warning early in the game. But yeah, RimWorld's one of those games you kind of need to invest in.
Yeah, I don't. I know it exists and know the very loosest idea of how it operates. That's
Is
it.
that the one with Randy Random?
It is. Randy Random is evil, is what he is.
Well,
Because
in
early
theory,
game
he
you
might
might
not
get,
be.
well, sometimes he's incredibly benevolent. And then he'll drop a radioactive exploding bear on you. So, yeah. Or he'll let you build up to quite a nice base, but then the local empire will come and stomp on you for no reason. Because that's is how they do.
Oh, my fishies.
He's also a fan of just dropping random nuclear winter on people. As you do. What are we doing? Domain. We want trans domains. I need to get over and do daddy. Can I actually do the trans domain from here? No.
So you've
Yeah.
done the story?
Yeah, because we can't help you until you unlock the actual spot on the map with the story.
Oh, well, that's annoying. So you have to do daddy's story first. Well, okay. Well, that's not happening now.
Jeff.
We can go do Jeff.
I think there's somebody you need Jeff for.
I've got a few Jeff.
Didn't he need Wales as well or something? Can't
I
even
think,
remember.
I think we did Whale just to do a third one. I don't think he needs Whale.
What does Bennett need? I think Bennett needed
Dog.
No, what did
Bennett
needs dog.
I get
Everyone in Fontaine needs dog.
Everyone in Fontaine, everyone in Leeway.
Mondstadt and Leeway
Mondstadt.
characters, if they were in the first batch of characters or around the first batch of characters, they need effing dog.
Yeah. Come think of it, does anyone actually need child?
Does,
child even drop anything?
But I cannot call to mind.
I think that most of the characters that needed his drops were from the era where none of us were playing.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been.
Child is probably the only one who needs child.
It would have probably been like early Inazuma characters or the early event characters and Leeway characters. Yeah, Zhao, Rosaria, Ganyu, Fiona, Hu Tao, Albedo, the Rock and Roll Girl, Zhongli, and Tartaglia.
Okay, so yeah, child does need child. But yeah, everyone else, there's a whole lot of characters. I got a few of them, but I probably will never actually use them. Hang on, I'll just make sure we are in the right spot.
Oh, right, your Zalonin needs Jeff.
Okay. I might have enough for the Jeff bits for Shalonen, but we'll see. So yeah, they've got the current event on. So after this, we'll probably just go and stomp on some Embers domains for a bit. Because I need Embers for days.
We have a way to kill that. Yeah, we do. Okay.
But yeah, we're doing whale just in case we weren't sure.
Oh, we're doing whale.
We're doing whale.
Yeah, we're doing whale.
Oh, okay.
I need to
Bring
swap.
something different for whale.
Yeah.
We were talking about Jeff, so I was like, "Oh, we're doing Jeff." Okay.
Yeah, I thought we were
Yeah.
doing. All
We're
right.
doing whale first because I was looking at Fontaine at the time. So yeah, what else did I actually do this week? Not a whole lot.
Well, you want me to go on Navia, or you want me to pull out the Nahida? I think it'll work better.
It's up to you. It's just whale. It doesn't matter how fast or slow we clear it. We don't have a healer except for Bennett though, so we'll be playing Circle Impact.
Oh no.
Yes.
No, that won't work.
Why is every healer Hydro?
Because then, yeah.
How confident are you in your plunging attacks?
I don't know. I don't generally use them.
This is a really, really bad idea.
I need to go do the Pyro Regisvine too at some point. Again.
You will always need to kill your normal bosses. This is a terrible. We're gonna die.
This is gonna be bad.
I can heal with my ultimate. So don't expect a lot of it. And remember, when you see the swirly green mist, you can jump really high.
It just means you're not going to be getting rid of all of my red bar for once.
Oh dear. Pew pew. All right. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot to talk about for this week, unfortunately. Not even any anime. I need to do that too. So thankfully, though, things should even out for like the next week, and then we have Drunk Cowboy Palooza coming up sooner than expected.
I thought it was currently ongoing.
No, we have 3 phases of Drunk Cowboy, the main Drunk Cowboys events. We're through phase 1 now. Phase 2 is the big one. And then phase 3 is, just the encore performance. Because Council likes money.
Oh, I'm dead.
He cornered me and killed me.
Oh no!
He just pinned me against the wall. I couldn't do anything.
Oh no!
I didn't even know he could use attacks back to back like that. It's never happened to me before. He just ground my entire health bar down in one go. This is gonna be a very long fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't. I'm just going to die.
I'll get to Navia out.
Kill me!
Fern, do you have a healer?
I have a Barbara.
That'll work.
Barbara will fix it.
I mean, realistically, it wouldn't have mattered. Because it wasn't like we had a chance to respond. He just instantly killed us.
I'm hoping...
You two just got straight away got.
Okay, I'm going to leave the domain.
Yeah, let's just leave.
Well, I'm hoping with the Geo Shield we can take at least 1 hit before we get got.
So that was impolite. Where's the statues? Because my health goes bye-bye.
Bosses don't behave in normal ways when you're in multiplayer.
No, they're not really designed with multiplayer in mind.
I'm not sure they're designed with anything in mind in some cases.
Whale was definitely not designed. Whale was just whale.
Whale was...
Whale is
somebody vomited on the idea document, and somebody got drunk one day, looked at it, and said, "That'll work."
Well, let's go with that. Okay. Where are you, Barbara? All right, this should be interesting.
If you see us hurt, well, actually, not Vol. Don't pay attention to his HP. He's got Bond to life. See me hurt, sing and start splashing.
Yeah, Corand tends to be either alive or dead. There's not really a middle state.
Yeah, good old glass cannons.
Oh, Fern hasn't really interacted with the Bond to life mechanic with a proper character yet, has he?
I have not. Try and build up Barbara's ultimate, but it's not charging.
Oh, why did I push that button?
You press the no button.
No, I turned the cannonballs on when I knew the boss wasn't going to be anywhere near me.
This time I'm going to try and stand with a little bit more space behind me, not near the wall.
Yeah, the wall is a no spot, as it turns out.
Right, 4 bullets. That was not as impressive as I was hoping it would be.
All right.
Okay, thinking part's done.
Whale fall down.
Whale fall down, go boom.
Cannonballs.
There we go. Yeah, you get to enjoy your whore carrying on.
The sound is muted because I'm on the stream.
Probably just as well. He would have to be the noisiest ultimate of any character.
At least you don't have Navia's idle sound.
Yeah,
No.
I guess.
She is a yapper, but it's not the one where she yaps that's the problem.
It is not.
Official is well, it's the wind blowing thing
Oh.
where she makes an awful lot of sounds while attempting to keep her head on her head.
Somebody walks in the room with that going, my sister already has gone, what is wrong with her? I'm like, oh, the wind's trying to blow her head away. Like, that's not what it sounds like. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, we know. We're not going to comment on it any further, though.
It's like, what was it? Lisa climbing
Yeah.
was the old school version.
Yes. She makes some unique sounds.
Work for Jeff? Yeah, this will work.
Yep.
Won't work very fast for Jeff, but it'll work.
We've made all kinds of strange things work for Jeff.
Nahida Barbara is surprisingly the most effective one we came up with.
I don't know. There was something about oops all yow yow.
That would probably also work for Jeff.
All right, so I'm just going to leave my week because I don't have a week.
orbs and use them on chucky things when the tornadoes stop.
Okay, there he goes.
The other one.
Oop, out.
Yeah, my white damage.
Okay, I'm hitting 4 digits on Kokomi. I feel special.
All right. Fall over you.
Jellyfish is on cooldown. Not that it really matters here. Go with it anyway.
No.
Pew 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 pew. Oh no,
Oh no?
Inish, no.
Kokomi has a distinct advantage over Barbara in that she doesn't make herself perpetually wet with her skill. However, she does make herself
Phrasing.
wet on initial application when the jellyfish first comes out. Only once though.
Wee.
Okay.
Now the trick is to actually get up there.
And the trick is also to not fall off.
Oh yeah, you're Kanish, that's right. Oh wait,
No, I'm Bennett.
Oh, that's right. You're
Kanish is
Kanish.
dead.
Get that sick
Actually.
20k vaporized damage.
Okay, there we go. He's back up.
Dead.
All right,
Stuck a
so that's
fork in
3
him.
bosses. All right. So yeah, I
Anyway,
did
wait.
try last week to do solo daddy, and that ended poorly.
It's tough.
It is very tough.
Yeah,
And she's got some weird mechanic in there I just couldn't figure out in the short time I had with it.
yeah, I remember that.
I've given up trying to figure out how her mechanics work. I just try and make her stop hitting me as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The theory is that if you accrue enough bond to life and then heal it off and then use the charge attack on Daddy, you'll get a free stun. And it happens once in a blue moon. That seems to actually be how it works. The rest of the time,
Right.
it just doesn't work.
Right. Well, that's just annoying.
Bond to life is when you get a red bar that starts to eclipse your health bar that absorbs healing. By healing it, you clear it. And if you clear enough of it, you're supposed to be able to stun her with a charge attack. But I don't know how that mechanic actually operates because it doesn't seem to work right half the time.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the wikis and things are just incorrect, or there's something that's been missed or something.
Oh, that's the in-game text.
Oh yeah, well in that case, yeah. The
in-game
in-game
text leaves
text
out a lot of.
is
It includes a lot of things you don't care about and leaves out a lot of things you need to know.
yep, it do. All right, I need to burn a whole bunch of things and get a whole bunch of kindlings because I got 2 characters who need them. Especially gold kindlings. I don't have any of those yet.
You want to go fast or you want to take it slow while we do the show?
Because show do slow.
Okay, Kokomi it is.
So I got a whole bunch of resin and I'm not afraid to burn it. So yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna live my week at that because I have nothing. Not unless you really want to talk about random YouTube videos and just so much pointless drama in the internet at the moment.
No, I'll have plenty of time to complain about all that during the Blue Archive section.
Yeah.
Specifically due to its impact on my personal experience this week.
Yeah, people making mountains out of molehills. the internet.
Yeah, and this has been a phenomenon I've observed in various different things this week. Like, everybody seems to be these days competing to have the most sensationalist take on any given topic.
Yeah.
Because the half-life of anything on the internet is typically very short, except where it's infinite. Like the an NSFW example is the cylinder guy never lived it down. If you don't know what I'm referring to, don't look it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to look that up. I will take your word for it. I don't know what that entails.
At any rate, it was a guy who outed himself for something by accident in like obvious fashion many years ago, and every time he comments about anything online, somebody will bring it up.
I see.
And yeah, it's been years now, and he can't get away from it.
Also, Fern, if you just wait a little bit after you receive the rewards, it will eventually.
Okay. Oh, we'll go back in again. That's fine.
Oh, I thought you said you need to do a bajillion of them.
I do need to do a bajillion of them. We're on kindlings? Yeah, we're on kindlings. Because, yeah, Kenichi needs them and Mavwika needs them.
There aren't many opportunities where you get to pick.
Yeah. So, especially when there's triple drops up for grabs. Take
No, it's
advantage
just 3
while you
takes.
can.
It's 3 takes of double drop. It's not triple drops.
Oh, okay.
After that, it goes back to normal. So
Yeah.
The
Normal but unrestricted.
you can pick any for the duration of the event. You can pick any domain as much as you want, but only the first 3 uses of original resin, not condensed or special resin. So the ones that accrue over time will get you double drops.
Just as well I'm sitting on a small mountain of them. Whoa. I love you, Kenichi. You're a lot of fun to play, but sometimes you just don't tether and send me launching off into the sky. And I don't know why.
Netland characters, they have their own way of doing things. Sometimes Bear Shark has their own way of doing things.
There is
Sharky just does what Sharky do.
There is no influence in Sharky. Oh, get back.
Yeah, in the case of Kenichi, I think it's just a horde just launching me out of the fight just for the lulls of it.
My jellyfish.
Yay, tree.
So,
All right.
after you get the loot, just stop and wait for a bit, and it'll let you recap.
Right. So yeah, what am I even doing? I did play a little bit more of Crashlands 2 as well, but again, it's just more of the same.
It's basically not.
More or less. You got to use a bit of skill to dodge everything.
Yeah, it's like, well, not an idle game. It's an increment building game.
Yeah.
It's the
idle games are honestly a blight.
Yeah, that was the wrong term. But it's yeah, there just ain't a whole lot of meat to chew on there. It's literally, I want to actually pay attention to something else, but I need something to do with my hands.
Yeah. And every now and again you look at it and it's making a dumb joke. I will give them props though. They have developed possibly the most idiotic walk cycles for every character. There are flapping arms all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah. I did also, in the same summer sale, I picked up Revenge of the Savage Planet. I haven't played it yet, though. The first one I played, it had its faults, but it was dumb and a lot of fun. It did have a really odd obsession with buttholes, but, childish games are going to be childish.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
They created a blender tool to put buttholes on things. That's one of their trailers for the first game.
I'm just gonna let that one go.
Just leave it alone. But it's a very, very fun, very dumb game. But the first one had its faults. But ultimately, it was just more of a exploration-y, Metroidvania-y type thing, except in first person. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting down and spending some time with the sequel. Apparently, the sequel is going, rather than being more exploration based. Apparently, it's a survival game now. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we'll see.
Is that what people wanted?
Mm.
So it seems like it seems pretty in the norm for a small studio to forget that they were serving an audience when they're successful in their first game, and then they just serve their own biases in the next one.
Yeah, like there's a lot to
Uh,
be said for a game dev making just what they want, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, people
Well,
kind of expect something now.
that it's true. It's their project. It's their work. They can do what they want. However, much in the way of like a D&D game, if the GM only is interested in the story they want to tell and don't care if anybody else is interested in the story, not going to be a very successful campaign.
Yeah, I really do want to get back into tabletop at some point. I just don't have time. I think this is my last one with Fragile Resin. Let's see. Oh, that was a poopy roll. So yeah. Anyway, Vol, what have you been up to?
It's been a long week. Not for any particular reason. In fact, it's been particularly slow business-wise, in my feeling, anyway.
That's a pleasant change, isn't it?
Uh, it's just a different kind of problem.
Oh,
I mean, a slow business means the P&L statement's going to be uglier, right? And I have to try and devise miracle ways to make it not ugly.
people who don't know what they're talking about to just looking at the numbers.
That would be forgivable. If it was something as simple as that, but
Hmm.
it's the being asked to do the impossible thing that gets on my nerves. It's like, well,
Yeah.
this is impossible, and you know it's impossible, but you're asking me anyway because that makes it my fault.
Yes.
I don't like that very much.
No.
Right, so this week in gaming was all gacha as usual for me. Starting with Blue Archive, it's I'm getting comfortable with the PC interface, though for some inexplicable reason, there's always still these web events that you can't access through the PC client for some
That's kind of
reason.
weird.
It could be a regulation thing. Maybe they just don't like you opening a browser within a video game or something like that because it's got sort of like an extremely cut down internet browser used exclusively for browsing the Nexon website, basically, for doing promo things.
Okay.
That's what's in the normal Blue Archive client, but it appears to be kind of, sort of, not really missing in some respects from the PC client. But yeah, the upshot of that is that you have to still log on the phone anyway if you want to collect the, hundreds of free pyros that they give out in those events. But yeah, so it's bizarre, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not too much effort, but hopefully they'll figure that one out and sort it out for too long.
Yeah. Hopefully
Um,
it's just a bug.
so the current event is one of the larger events that they have, since it's basically rubbing up against another FES event. The next banners are going to be a FES banner, so good time to dump whatever pyros you've got saved because you're going to get double drop rates on rares. Since they basically, for Blue Archive basically lifted everything from the Cygames approach, which is part of why it's been so successful. I can't help but wonder how much of Blue Archive's success is related to Crunchyroll bobbling the ball on Pinecone, and then people drifting to the next thing that used similar systems.
Yeah,
But
well, they literally cribbed most of their systems from the way Pinecone did things, and Pinecone was an evolution of Granblue.
I mean, you would though, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
because it was really popular.
Yeah, people liked it. But Yeah, I noticed a significant boost to Blue Archive as soon as Pinecone Global died.
Anyway, so I haven't finished the event yet. I've done like most of the story, but I haven't done all of the story. But it's a very good example of what the modern large scale Blue Archive events are like. So for me, it's like, oh well, this is the same as the previous year's big event. But
One with
I
Hina.
suppose Ari's take on it will be more relevant since he didn't play those.
Yeah,
He didn't play like the Hina event.
this is my
And
first
so
one.
this is sort of like, this is what it looks. This is what large Blue Archive events look like now. They still, most of the events are still smaller scale, and they look like the ones you're familiar with. But on at least one occasion per year, they have a larger scale development like this one. But yeah, I guess I might as well leave Ari to talk about that one in his week or whatever, because for me it's like, oh well, this is the story. It's the same. Like my only commentary on the fact on the matter is that I feel like they are still, skating the line of taking every opportunity for Nagisa slander. I don't think it's very fair on her.
I guess
She
we
always seems to get the raw end of the deal every single time, despite the fact that in my I'm firmly in the Nagisa did nothing wrong camp, which makes me about as popular as people who say Hitler did nothing wrong. So
Oh no.
I guess we can just pivot it to here if you got your brain on it right now. We don't have to shift gears later. If you want,
Yeah.
we can just talk about what Blue Archive we got.
right, well, I mean, for this event, this is Saya's debut event as a playable.
She's the most adorable thing on the planet.
I've never been a huge fan, but that's largely because you can only really be a fan of one of the three Tea Party girls, and Nagisa's my girl, so
Yeah.
But because that was at each other's throats. But Saya is, in my view, she's an ungrateful little brat. But she is a necessary part of the meta and a very useful thing to have in your toolkit, especially if you've been struggling along with swimsuit Ui for the longest time on your Dealer King hit with Mika team. But yeah, I just forcibly pulled her because I knew that I was going to have no luck with the free pulls. So I was like, I'll pull Saya. I'll probably push all the way through for uniform Asuna as well. Not because I'm a fan of Asuna. Like Asuna is another character I find to be kind of like, slightly annoying golden retriever girl.
Also, probably the most poster girl for a certain side of the community.
One of those sides
that you can't escape no matter how careful you are.
Oh no.
This is Saya, by the way, in the live show chat.
Okay, that's good. I just had to check something as well. I was worried the battle pass, using fragile weapons directly would not count towards the battle pass, but it does. It's fine.
It didn't. It used to not count because it was just a generating resin instrument, but now you can spend it. It does count.
Yes, which is good.
But yeah, I'll probably pull for Asuna as well, not because I'm a particular fan of Asuna, but because Asuna is pretty much necessary for doing Gebera. So if I do decide I'm going to try and learn how to do Gebera, you pretty much want Asuna on your team for that, because it needs one of the very few characters who can buff specials. So, but yeah. So the overall event is the large scale one that they have at about this time each year. Though occasionally they'll have smaller things elsewhere. But the event has got the exploratory mode in it, which allows you to kind of sort of wander about and see in a more a less representative and more tangible way the layout of various areas that you have seen parts of the story taking in previously. So it sort of reifies some of the settings at the various academies. But yeah, it's just it's a fun way of adding a little bit more a sense of space to the stories that are being told, which are traditionally told in the visual novel format. So it's sort of hard to grasp. Oh well, exactly where things are, how things are laid out. But this sort of gives a way of doing that. But
I posted the animation from that game mode. I managed to find a video that was just the animation that sold Seiya to me as the most adorable thing on the planet.
so the whole exploratory thing is always done in the chibi mode, which basically makes everything tooth-rottingly adorable, whether you like it or not. But yeah, the best, in my opinion, the best thing about Saya is the way her bird follows her everywhere.
I love everything about that bird and how she gets frustrated at so like everything she interacts with. It seems like the sometimes most of the time the vending machine is nice to her, but she finds like a microphone and just starts trying to get a door and it doesn't work, and so she just starts screaming at it,
As you do.
and it still doesn't work.
So like how when she's the bird will ride around on the outside of the cardboard box.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that game mode. That is very silly.
But yeah, this is the thing that has always kept me interested in Blue Archive, is the way they don't settle for doing things the same way every time.
Oh, sorry about that, Burn. Try again.
Is he gonna let me do it? Yep, there we go.
I was Seiya posting.
The reason I got frustrated and stopped playing FGO was because they had been running in their groove too long and not making any innovations. Whereas Blue Archive has basically never rested on their laurels. They are always expanding their storytelling and their gameplay approach, event over event. So, like, if because they have released different chapters with such sort of sporadic timing, if you watch through the whole of, and it's not necessarily wise to do so for story reasons, but if you were to watch through the whole of Foreclosure Task Force from start to finish, you would see the sort of the radical changes in presentation from start to finish as well. It's definitely not the recommended story watching order though, because there's so many events happen in the interim. But yeah, the latter story chapters are much more elaborately presented than the earlier ones. But the events reflect that as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the event. I've played through most of the story, like I'm like 80% of the way through the story, but I've only done the story part. I haven't done anything else. So
there ain't much to the gameplay section aside from the Solid Snake mode and the obligatory combat event or the obligatory combat stages to farm. I didn't see
but
any kind
that's
of
not
super
really
challenges.
that's not really the point though. The point is a way of presenting the story. It's not designed to add any special challenges or anything.
Yeah, the I really enjoyed going through the story mode the way that they had it set up. I was very frustrated at first because I didn't think
Because you were trying to play with the mouse.
uh-huh. So I don't know how Zoomers do this. They used like the pseudo joystick on phone to control character movement.
I've tried it before and it is just awful. Feels awful.
Drives me bananas, but
Have done my dailies in Genshin using it. And I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, it drives me bananas. Well, in this new mode where you run around Millennium with Seiya and Neru, it's on PC now, and this means you could use a controller instead of having to use the stupid on-screen joystick, and this made me so happy.
Now, the game was not designed with any controller compatibility, so it purely uses the controller as an input interface to Windows. And I was so sure that Steam would screw it up somehow, but for some reason it actually works. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, but it does work.
They just use. There's no in-game anything for a controller for it to talk with. It's just using the Steam input feature. It's just one of the. It's just the preset Steam input. thing that's rocking and rolling there.
All right, you don't even need to
No,
use big picture mode to force it like some other games do.
I was just convinced that it wouldn't work at all because it's Steam, right?
Yeah.
Steam can't do controllers.
Steam is weird. Like sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't out of the box, but sometimes it'll work if you put it into big picture mode first. And there seems to be absolutely no rhyme or reason behind it. Actually, it's generally Sega games I found that if you put it into big picture mode, it'll work better. Or at all in some cases.
I never have to put a game into big picture mode. I've got some
I
convoluted.
had to for a long time. I used to. I can't remember which games were, but there were some that I had to like toggle it on and off or whatever.
Yeah, but lately they've been much better about just having them work when you tell it to.
Yes.
But if the game has any kind of native controller support, depending on how that's integrated, it can really screw with Steam input if Steam input tries to pick it up on top of it.
Yeah. Steam has never played nice with controllers, really, despite their best efforts.
But yeah, you can just use the controller to run around Millennium, and that's a lot of fun running around with Seiya and playing with the balls in the exercise room and talking to the vending machines and trying to use the microphone in Rio's hideout.
Right.
Well, see the video posted.
Right.
Yeah, and also Nira just makes everything better that she appears in.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's sort of a bit of a black sheep in Millennium in a lot of ways. She's she was definitely born for a different environment, but I don't think there's actually any environment that would suit her. She definitely wouldn't fit in at any of the other academies either. The only one she might fit in is maybe Abydos.
Yeah, she might be able to get along in Abydos. She's not unhinged enough for Gehenna. She's not prim and proper enough for Trinity, even though they're unhinged in their own very unique ways. None of them work with Niru. But she's got her niche, and whenever she shows up, she just makes everything better. She gets a really good moment you haven't seen yet at the end of the story, too, because she always seems to get one whenever she pops up as a character in the story.
But yeah, overall it's been a good event, and it's a good showcase of what they're capable of now. It's the thing is, what it just makes me think is there's a world in which this was in Pinecone.
It could be in Pinecone right now. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Don't know, never will.
Like, maybe Pinecone's learning back from Blue Archive, and they got something like this. You can wander around the town now. Maybe you can control.
Surprised.
Maybe you can control Pecorine and just go on an eating adventure for an event or something. We don't know.
Yeah, Pecorine adventure would be you try to leave the restaurant. Pecorine refuses to leave the restaurant. Story over.
No, Pecorine walks into restaurant. The restaurant is now out of stock. Go find the next restaurant.
My late grandfather did that once at a satay stall selling satay skewers. My grandfather, who just passed away, one of the stories that my mother remembers fondly is that one evening he went to one of those and sat down and started eating satay skewers, and they had to close up early because they had no stock left when he was done.
To be fair, those satay skewers are very Moorish.
Yeah. I think my record is 23.
Oof.
The name sounds familiar. I probably had them, but they are not irregular here.
It's basically just marinated satay chicken on a stick. It's usually available pretty much everywhere, really.
To be fair, the only reason it was 23 is because we ran out.
Right.
So it does kind of run in the family.
Yeah, unfortunately, being out in the bush, the only satay skewers I can get are the store-bought pre-marinated ones, and they're not very great. I don't know
My,
what
my
they
mother
do with
used to
yeah.
to make them from scratch. She probably can't anymore since the stroke. She probably doesn't have the fine motor control required to thread the chicken anymore. But yeah, she used to make them from scratch.
Nice. All right. Where were we? Blue Archive.
So
Is there still
that
anything
Blue
else?
Archive. It was good. It was
Is
good.
good.
Next two characters are going to be Rio and who was the other one? All of a sudden, I don't remember. Rio's it's Rio and Neru. So Rio is an off-field support who basically can duplicate one of the field characters' EXs and immediately pulls that card from the deck. So if you've got Mika ready to go, you can clone your Mika and then use it twice.
Damn. It sounds kind of broken.
It is very powerful. It's very effective for certain things, like the aforementioned Mika, and like if you have
Double
Toki,
Chirino.
right?
Oh, Toki?
If you have Toki, I don't have Toki, but if you have Toki, you can get her to pull her mech suit out and then use her EX skills that she has with her mech suit, and then have Rio's one on the bar so you can pull it straight out again without having to wait it to rotate back around, so you can get much more on-field time in the mech suit.
I see.
And with Dress Hina, you can clone her EX skill before she transforms into her stationary fire mode, so that when she has used her 3 shots of stationary fire, it will just leave you with 3 more that you can immediately use, which allows you to basically, it's an extremely powerful tool for maximizing burst windows, is the primary use of it. There may turn out to be other uses for it in future, like if you need to be able to like use Track Yuka's reposition twice in quick succession or something like that for some like really difficult moldy torment fight.
Maybe
Like
you can use
healing
it.
burst, maybe.
Maybe you can use it to clear the hardest difficulty of the commission with all the robots if you can clone Nanomi's. Well, Chirino, or you have Nanomi, so probably
Yeah,
you could use her.
I've got. Yeah. At any rate, yeah, that's quite a powerful move. Neru, by contrast, is a much more restricted character in use, but basically, she is like a single target damage god. Like, she can lock down a target in a 1v1 duel and then scale up her attack power against it really, really fast.
Oh, is that what it was doing? Because
she-
Story does a terrible job of showcasing what it actually does. And you get to use her a lot.
Yeah, it basically just locks down the enemy, and then you go into a 1v1 duel mode. She's basically Boot Hill for Blue Archive.
That tracks.
But yeah, it's not useful in most game modes simply because the dominant strategies in most game modes don't want to allow her the time to do it. But in a theoretical setting where you've got the time to actually let her power build up, she's one of the highest damaging characters in the game. It's just a question of well, is there an environment that's going to allow you to take advantage of that?
And it's another Nero.
Yeah, I think,
and Nero is one of the best girls. Not the best girl, but up there.
I only have the regular Neru. I pretty much only really used her for joint firing drill. But
I don't have
because
regular Nero.
She does a lot of hits. That's the thing. There are challenges in joint firing drill, which I don't do anymore because I hate joint firing drill, which require you to hit a certain number of times, and Neru is really good at that. But yeah, so yeah, those are the next two, and most people will be pulling on them simply because they are fest characters. And fest characters, number one, the secondary payoff of pulling anything else is going to be a higher rate. And number two, fest characters are always ungodly powerful. It just seems to be a rule. It was true in Pinecone as well, more or less, wasn't it?
Yeah, Christina. Even after Christina fell out of the meta, they gave her unique equipment, and she was busted again.
Okay.
And then we had Nenica, who was the only character that could allow you to field 6 units functionally, because she would just clone herself. In Pinecone, they were absolutely turbo busted.
They're pretty busted as well. Remember,
Miko was a Fez
Mika.
character, and
Mika was one.
Swimsuit Hoshino was another
Summer
one, right?
Hoshino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, she was one as well. Yeah, so they tend to be just comically OP characters. That to just be how they do. Yeah, there are lots of powerful ones coming after that, and also lots of the bulk of the characters coming after this for the next like few patches are going to be. These are incredibly powerful in the niche where you're trying to do like insane and torment difficulty challenges with really good times, or competing in full restrictions released game modes. Like they're really, really good for those niche situations, but for people who are just sort of like casually playing the game, they don't really provide much value.
Yeah,
That's not really what they're for.
I intended with my comeback anyway to just wait for the Fez banners and go dump whatever pyros I've gotten for doing cleanup on the Fez banners.
Yeah, because they're unlike most gacha games these days. Like nearly every character is just gets added to the general banner.
And
in Blue
during the
Archive.
Fez banners,
Yeah.
you can get more copies of the old Fez characters, right?
Yeah, you can. That's how I managed to get my Wakamo so high. Because I just kept pulling Wakamo over and over again every fest. But
Big Fall's still in
yeah,
there.
I'm looking at the loading screen, which is taking
Oh,
a bit for some
yeah, I
reason.
dropped out because I thought I had the wrong level, but nope. We just burned that one down really quick.
Oh, I brought Varisa and he brought a Squiffy at that time.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah, we're doing. I'm going for contentions now, so yeah.
Yeah, we were just bouncing that time.
Yeah, most characters are standard rather than limited. There are still limited characters in Blue Archive, mostly the Fest characters, but though there are others as well. But there are heaps and heaps of characters that are just part of the standard crew. So that's why you don't have to. If you don't really love a particular character, there's not really any special reason to pull most of them because most of them are not limited. So like I got swimsuit Serica pulling for Saya, and she's basically part of the normal crew now, even though she was promoted mainly during the summer event. So yeah, it's like it's not there's way less FOMO in operation generally in Blue Archive compared to most gachas. But Fest banners basically give you access to nearly every character in the roster. I think there might be a couple of exceptions. Not sure which ones though, but yeah, it's basically the time to start dumping your pyros if you need to rebuild your roster after an absence or something, because the rates are so high. But yeah, so I'll probably try and pull both of those since I've got like 150k pyros sitting there.
It's a lot more than
Doing
my 30 something K.
Most of the upcoming interim characters are niche only, and most of them are not limited, so there's not really any special reason to pull them. The exceptions being the Shupogaki twins. They are going to I think that they are both limited and exceptionally powerful. So they're probably one of the ones that people will be looking to pull for. Although I don't remember offhand what they do. But yeah. Anyway, that's where Blue Archive is sitting at the moment. It's probably going to be a bit more quiet for a while, though I think there's probably another chapter of Decagrammaton coming this month, I think. Although I'm not caught up on Decagrammaton yet. But and I think Gebera is it Gebera or one of the prophets is in Final Restrictions release this time. I've never bothered with that game mode. Maybe I'll take a poke at it now that it's got a PC client. It's going to be a little bit less cumbersome, but we'll see. Right, that's that. Genshin for the week. I have not really done anything on except using up my 3 charges of bonus drops, largely to pick up talent materials to build Chevreuse, who's my current project. Though I haven't really made much progress with that. it's just been sort of holding the line there pretty much. I haven't been trying to push forward with any particular projects. We're on the second half of this particular patch now, which means that the preview for the next one will be coming out shortly. Where it's presumably going to be doing the whole setup for the next chapter thing point. But yeah, I don't really have anything much to comment on as far as Genshin is concerned because it's sort of in a holding pattern right now.
Gonna be farming week.
Similar case for ZZZ. I haven't done the current sheer defense or deadly assault yet. Haven't had time. I'll probably have to do it tomorrow when I get a moment to get caught up on those because I need to save the maximum amount of polychrome with Yuzuha and Alice coming out in the next patch, which should be deployed next week, I believe.
Yep, should be out on Tuesday or Wednesday.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. Haven't decided for sure that I'll pull for Yuzuha. I'll probably pull for Yuzuha, but I haven't decided for sure yet. I mean, I do need to have a proper disorder team because I just don't have one. Like, I can clutch one together, but it tends to perform a little bit iffy. It ends up to being more like Miyabi carry with disorders that happen sometimes rather than a disorder team. But sometimes you need to field an actual disorder team, which I can't really do without building Piper, and I don't really want to build Piper. But if you're going to go building a proper pure anomaly team, you might as well go all the way. So the chances that I will pull for Yuzuha are pretty high. But I'd intended from the start to pull for Alice because I like her better. I like her design-wise and mechanics-wise a bit better than Dodge Rat. And I kind of need somebody to fill that niche who isn't named Piper. So...
what does Piper ever do to you? She drove you in a car many times.
And it was traumatizing.
Not her fault that people tried to run you off the road.
But yeah, so I'm not doing anything much particularly there either. I still haven't finished the side quests, so I haven't unlocked 2 of the zones yet because I haven't settled down to do those zone advancement quests, largely due to other stuff going. Anyway, Star Rail is the big one for the week because this week the Fate collab dropped. There's been an awful lot of what to me seems like a storm in a teacup on this. Basically, the community, if you want to call it that, hates it. Hates it stick and stem. But I don't care about the community because
as you should.
They're the Hoyo community. Now, the main reason I think is that they have outrageously inflated expectations.
Yeah.
The only thing I can assume is that they've never participated in a collab event before and have absolutely zero perspective of what it entails. The whole exercise of trying to coordinate 2 IP control legal teams from 2 different companies who adhere to 2 different countries' laws on IP is a monumental task and massively straitjackets what you can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
The only other one that I've seen that has been elaborate ever compared to the Hoyo one that with Fate Stay Night has been the Witcher Monster Hunter crossover. That's the only one that I've seen that has been of this sort of scale, where they've actually done an awful lot of work and have had to face the challenges of, modulating IP across 2 different countries and 2 radically different sort of IPs. Like even the Monster Hunter to Final Fantasy 14 one has much less of a problem because they're both adhering to Japanese law.
Yeah.
And in the case of Monster Hunter, the IP is much less restrictive because from a certain point of view, they're just monsters. You can just slot them
monster, you
where
hunt
want.
it.
Whereas Type Moon and Hoyo are very guarded about their IP, generally speaking. The IP integrity is very important because the whole property breaks down without it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that they were very restrictive in what they could accomplish. People were very mad about it not being like, you know, a full scale event with new areas and so on and so forth. There were the expectation that I garnered from observing the community's commentary and discussion on the topic was they were expecting something of the scale of Simolanka,
Yeah, that's a
which
bit
is
ambitious.
that's a completely unreasonable
Oops.
expectation.
Oop.
Apparently,
Oh,
Try it again.
just wait for the timer. There
yeah, it's now the thing with the crossovers is they're always goofy. They can't be serious because the more serious something is, the more it impinges on the IP. So there's a level, there's a threshold of sort of like impact that it can't cross. It has to be kind of lighthearted by obligation, really. The only alternative is like, if you look at the Honkai Impact third crossover with Evangelion, it was pretty much a one-for-one duplication of the events of Evangelion, just with Honkai characters in it. So basically, there was no tampering with any IP taking place. In this case, it was a very silly and light-hearted take on the Grail War, which a lot of people objected to. But I'm like, have you never seen Carnival Phantasm? Have you never played FGO? Like, the things are not serious all the time in this setting.
I don't know.
Neko Arc exists for crying out loud.
The friend maker is serious business.
In a way, yes. But yeah, it was a very silly story, but still had quite impactful moments and some good bits of writing buried in there. Some interesting exploration of various points of view and things. And yeah, generally speaking, I liked it, and I liked the way that it went. It fell sort of exactly within my expectations. They were a little bit sort of tongue-in-cheek cunning about how to get out of having to pay the massive amount of money that it would have costs to have everything voiced by characters from outside the contract that Hoyo has for their regular voice actors. Now the thing with bringing in guest voice actors is that it's way more expensive than signing somebody up to be a regular. So they got a certain amount of lines out them and then contrived a story reason why nobody was talking anymore. Which I thought was kind of elegant and a lot of people felt was insulting. But,
Lighten up.
it is what it is. It's
It
got a
is.
lot of there are lots of problems with the storytelling, but most of those problems are, well, this was written at the time where cinematography in Star Rail was sort of at a low point before they had decided that they were going to embark on the quest of trying to respond to feedback about their poor delivery. So it's still got a lot of black screen with white text embedded in there, but also the sort of the peripheral amount of time and resources that would be allocated to a project like this are going to sort of require a certain amount of shortcut to be taken. But yeah, I thought that given the material that they were working with, it was executed on quite well without, profoundly disturbing the IP or impinging on verisimilitude. Like the way it all was carried off, it actually did seem like a thing that could have happened in the Star Rail universe. It didn't seem like an outside sort of
Okay.
something that had been forcibly jammed in that doesn't make sense in context. On the other hand, it did make a lot of sense. The only jarring thing really was that Lancer didn't die.
Ah. I mean, he'd be happy about that, I suppose.
A lot of people complained about, oh well, the trailer was a bait and switch. Well, yeah, but the trailer's a promotional tool, and the event comes in two parts: the part that I have done, the story, and the part that I haven't even touched, which is the combat event. But yeah, it's a fun little story that I felt was executed well. The characters were generally in character. They even drew on some of the less commonly regarded parts of characters, like for instance the fact that Lance is actually a magus, fully trained in magecraft, which comes up a lot in peripheral material, but is only offhandedly mentioned in the main material. The there are lots and lots of FGO jokes embedded in there, which are just going to sail over the heads of most people who didn't play FGO. The most obvious of them is the Noble Phantasm skip gag.
Oh. It took them so long to put a skip button in.
They didn't. They never did.
Didn't they? I
Well,
thought they did.
In HSR they put a skip button in, but you can't skip Noble Phantasms in FGO because they said that the Noble Phantasm is too integral to a character's identity. If you take the Noble Phantasm animation out, there's very little left of the character. What?
I mean, I guess.
But well, I mean that's their take on it, and they're entitled to their take on it. And people are still playing FGO, so it obviously hasn't hurt them that much. But they make a gag about it, about a character using their Noble Phantasm, and then it getting skipped. And this basically subverts the entire point of the character. I brought an ice character to this domain because I didn't check what domain we were doing. So I guess I'll just use physical damage.
I got to go farm whistles to finish up with the Natlan Cup stuff now. Yay, whistles.
I bring Wilbur.
But yeah, so I'm quite happy with it because it fell exactly within the bounds of my expectations, and my expectations were not very high because I know what crossovers are like because I play a lot of gacha games. I've played gacha games for a long time now, from all different kinds. I played FGO. I played the Hoyo games, all four of the main ones anyway. I've played I've played Girls Frontline, I've played Arknights, I've played Azulane. I've played a lot of these things. I know how a crossover works, and this one was executed as well as you could reasonably expect from it. Now, there's still ground that they can gain in storytelling, and part of that ground has been gained so far in Amphorius. But
let's swap characters, friend.
Okay.
But overall, it worked pretty well, generally speaking. I'm reasonably happy with it from my point of view, and that says somebody who's a big fan of the Type Moon works. Like, I knew that it was not going to be, a full scale story about either Star Rail or about the Type Moon characters. That was never going to be the case, and it seems obvious to me that it couldn't possibly be the case.
Even outside of gacha, crossover events in games all tend to follow a very similar formula anyway.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the community are the way they are.
Community.
So
yeah, they're a bit special.
But yeah, anyway, as far as pulling the characters goes, I got absolutely wrecked. Like I had to go to an inch away from hard pity twice to get Saber. It was ugly, and then I had to go to an inch away from hard pity again to get her signature. The gacha gods did not favor me. It was ugly, but that happens sometimes. If you're me, it happens an awful lot. It didn't happen to me for Fufu. That's about the only time the gacha gods have been nice to me.
Fufu did not want to come home for me.
But yeah, so I got absolutely slaughtered. I'm probably going to have to crack the wallet to hit my goals for the next patch, because I don't think that there's enough jade left in the current patch to accomplish what I was hoping for. So, well, we'll see how it goes. I could get lucky in the next patch. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Don't you want like 8 things from the next patch?
Yeah, like it's a big one because I want Hislin's and I want Seradra and I want Silverwolf. Probably not interested in Silverwolf's signature at least because Silverwolf's signature is not as great for her as it once was because it's a relic of a bygone era. But by which I mean that metaphorically, in case there is a light cone called relic of a bygone era, because it sounds
There
like the sort of
probably
thing they would.
is,
Uh,
or
but
will
uh,
be.
but yeah, and the thing is, I'll probably be interested in Hislin's and Siradra's signatures as well. And I kind of wanted to get Firefly's signature as well when she reruns, simply because her power level is a bit iffy at the moment, because I'm running her on all freebie stuff, and
There you go.
she kind of needs her power lifted a little bit to get her back in the game. Though her constraints, I'm sort of on two minds about that, because her constraints really can't be lifted by doing that. That's not really the issue right now. The issue that Break has is very, very similar to the issue that Dot has, which is to say, a lot of the Break characters, except for Boot Hill. Boot Hill's the only one who doesn't really suffer from this so much. A lot of the Break characters are quite badly affected by everything being about timing, because Break is something that is regulated entirely by turns, and when the enemy turn is the thing that matters, all that they need to do is design the enemy differently, and Break stops working the way it should. Much in the way that the game for Dot, the game is built around being faster, but for Dot as it currently exists, if you're faster, then your dots never trigger, right? So it's a huge pain in the neck. It doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. So yeah, Break has similar problems in that, well, you can do a lot of damage, but you've got very sort of specific damage windows to work through. And Break also gets defanged by the fact that in Apocalyptic Shadow, pretty much every team is a Break team. Like, you don't have to actually field Break characters because all of your power comes in the Break window, meaning that the margin between any other team and a Break team is much narrower. Like, the Break team doesn't gain significant advantages in the Break phase, but they have all the disadvantages that a Break team does when you're outside the Break phase. Which is, that's the thing with Break teams, right? The trade-off is supposed to be that you do sweet bugger all if the enemy is not broken, and then you try and make up for that during the Break window. But you kind of can't do that very easily in Apocalyptic Shadow, in the sense of your margin versus a conventional team. It's not going to be very large because they're going to be gaining advantages during that phase as well. So they're basically an archetype that has managed to make itself uncompetitive in that particular game mode. Still performs okay in the others, but every team in MOC has foibles, and Pure Fiction's effectiveness and Break's effectiveness and Pure Fiction is pretty much dependent on Rapper. You pretty much can't use anybody else for it. It's not very efficient to do so anyway. But yeah, so that's why I was contemplating getting some Eidolons or Signature Light Cone to try and smooth off some of the burrs on Firefly to try and make that team more viable, since it is one of my most built teams. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see where they go with that going forward. After all, they are revisiting Dot now after putting it on hiatus. So they aren't forgetting about their old archetypes, but they do kind of get put on the back burner. Like, the emphasis on follow-up is clearly on the decline right now. Even though you do get, say, Tribby has follow-up, but you don't really put Tribby in follow-up teams, do you? She's not really the optimal for that. And Hyacine quite pointedly does not follow up, even though Lingsha does. And at a glance, their kits don't look all that different, right? But there's a very clear distinction has been made in there.
Oops.
I didn't intentionally decline that.
I was hopping,
Let's go.
pressing the attack button and accidentally declined.
But yeah, so unfortunately, I do have like a zillion things I want to pull for in the next patch and a half. So Yeah, I'll have to think very carefully about what I want to prioritize, considering basically Saber ate my lunch as she is wont to do. But I also did end up pulling Sparkle because I was just like, I was suffering from cognitive dissonance over Sparkle being my Honkai Impact third main and me not having her at all in Star Rail. So even though she's not good, I can always hope that they improve her a little bit. And I guess since Archer is free, I definitely have a team that can use her. And if I pull Silver Wolf, then I'll have at least the second best secondary support for her after Cypher. I didn't pull Cypher because I'm just not really that into her as a character. I liked her story well enough, but if I have to choose a Quantum Nihility supporter, I would rather have Silver Wolf. So I just like Silver Wolf better. I've more attachment to her because of Honkai Impact Third. But yeah, because Silver Wolf as a character is very, 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 very much closer to Bronya from Honkai Impact Third than the Bronya Rand we know from Billabong, who has nothing in common with Silver Wolf except with Bronya from Honkai Impact Third, except drill hair. That's
Gotta have
pretty
the drill
much
hair.
it. There are a lot of gags about the drill hair in Honkai Impact Third crossover with Star Rail. Like Cocolia tries to choose Bronya as her successor as Supreme Guardian because in her mind the qualification to be Supreme Guardian is having drill hair.
Right.
So,
That seems like a very flimsy qualification.
but yeah.
Guilt up.
So yes,
And
I basically in short I have like a million build projects on the go now. I have 2 fully built copies of Bronya's signature light cone. Realistically, you only need 2 copies of anything because there's only two teams ever used at one time in a game mode, and so one of them is on Robin and one of them is on Sunday. So I'll probably just steal one or the other. Like I haven't been using Robin very much lately because I pretty much got her for fielding clutch follow-up teams, and she did an extremely good job for the amount of investment. Since on her I was able to equip a lot of leftover gear that I had lying around. But she's pretty much in sort of like pseudo retirement right now because there's no follow-up centric content that is simple enough for me to use my really crude follow-up team on. Although that team has served me very well and gotten me to, 36 stars and so on in the past. It's still not
Always be who they
really.
weak.
Ugh. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I still often end up pulling it out when Hule appears because it's just better for dealing with Hule. Although Anaxa has sort of taken over that role because Anaxa's got the ability to sort of interrupt Hule when he's on a roll and take out one of his turns. If you hold your ult for a moat longer and use it during Hule's turns, it will usually neutralize one of them. Because the thing with Hule, right, is he takes like 3 turns in a row or 4 turns in a row when he feels like it, and you can sort of interrupt that with Anaxa. So using the Fei Xiao team every time Hule shows up is no longer as mandatory as it used to feel because there's another way for me to gain advantage now.
I don't.
But
The facial part of the follow up team is not the part that makes Hule particularly. That makes him die. But what makes him stop having any mechanics is named Numby.
yeah, Trotter.
Because that stupid thing goes so many turns that Hule can't build up his full charge if you've got anything that can juice him. Preferably
Yeah, that's
Aventurine.
having that number of hits factor is really important. And I'm afraid, as much as I like March 7th Hunt as a tool for that team, she's not nearly as effective as Numby. But she's certainly done the job. But yeah, so probably I will rob Bronya of her light cone and use that for Sparkle. What I'm going to do for Sparkle's gear, I don't really know. Uh, she uses the same gear as Sunday more or lessly, so I could steal Sunday's gear, but I still use Sunday for various things. Like Sunday's a particularly good partner for Alexa, and he's also an extremely good partner for Saber. So I can't just take all his gear away, which means I'm going to have to go back to that same sodding farming node and farm more gear from there. Um, on the upside, I've got the offset from that node on both the Herta and Anaxa, so everybody's gear can be refined in that process.
I think Saber can get away with using that gear too. I think
she can, but most people are using the one from Hyacine's gears node, which is, people are using that set on Archer as well, largely because using the optimal set damage wise for Archers, that obnoxious Bellabog one with the quantum and the defense shred, that's his optimal if you can use him against quantum weakness. But that means that you have to farm at the same time an entirely useless set.
whereas
It's useful for Fushuen and maybe for Jeopard, but basically it's underserves you everywhere else.
yeah,
So
I think my Saber's using that Fornicator's backup set, because I've spent so many attempts on that node trying to get Barbara some gear.
so did I. That doesn't mean I got any good pieces.
Oh, I think
don't get good pieces.
I think I cobbled together something at least workable from the people.
I'm mainly not looking forward to the planet ornament farming, which is always the worst bit.
That's what
I
custom
don't know what
resin's
about
for.
it is the worst bit, but yeah, I always end up making them, especially energy ropes. Like I don't think I'm using any energy ropes that drop for legit. I think that's pretty much not a thing.
I cannot get elemental orbs. I can occasionally have energy regen.
You can get them for the wrong element.
Oh, I can get it for the wrong element all the time, but I can never ever get elemental orbs or crit anything chess pieces.
I have got a million build projects on the go right now. I have to completely rebuild Black Swan. I have to completely rebuild Kafka. I have to build Sparkle. I've got to build Saber. I've got to build Archer. I have like all of the build projects. So yeah.
All right, and with that, I am also completely out of resin.
Well, hopefully you got something you can actually use.
I think I have everything I need for. Well, maybe not for Bennett. Bennett, I got to go fight Dvalin, Storm Terror.
Bennett, you basically only have to level up his ultimate anyway.
Yeah, the ultimate is the most important one there.
That's literally
the skill is just for generating energy.
Yeah, you can leave the skill in basic attack at level 1 and it will not change how you play. It will not impact your damage whatsoever. But his ultimate, you definitely want to level up because that's more healing and more damage amp.
Yeah. But now I got to go and farm whistles. And a few fangs, but mostly whistles.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm going to go vectors.
Okay.
I can never, ever get enough of these things.
Yeah, for respect. But yeah, so I've got heaps of characters that need to be built, and they're not built, and I also ended up pulling Clara in the process, since I lost my 50-50, obviously.
At least you don't need to equip it with shoes.
Don't really have any particular use for Clara. There are still people who diligently use Clara to completely clear Memory of Chaos et al.
Oh man, Fern, you have not explored this place at all, have you?
I thought I'd done most of Mondstadt, but I guess I missed this bit.
No, where I'm at.
Where you is? Oh, okay. Yeah, Inazuma, I've got large patches, but I just haven't done anything.
Yeah, you haven't done anything at Kokomi's house. There's primo gyms all over the place.
Fishwife.
I haven't really either. But
Inazuma
yeah, so
I found to be kind of annoying to do a lot of stuff over.
yeah, I lost motivation to explore Inazuma really quickly. It feels really jank to me. But yeah, I have a billion build projects now that I need to do, and I don't even have enough luck to build one character properly. So it might be a long while before I get these characters up and running. But I don't know whether or not they're going to try and structure the meta around Archer and Saber. It doesn't seem like there's much room for them to do so because they're not really the headliners for the current patch, and the end game rotates quite slowly in Star L compared to ZZZ, so it doesn't seem like they'll put them in there. And plus, like, you couldn't really push that too hard because Archer is basically tier 5 for pure fiction, like unusable tier, because he can only ever hit one character at a time, do an outrageous amount of damage to that one enemy, but that's it. That's not helpful in pure fiction, so they probably won't try and structure it around that. It feels very much like Dr. Ratio again in a lot of ways, but yeah, it is what it is. Saber, I think, is likely to fall into the similar bucket, but she will probably have her day in the sun in Seradra's patch as well, because Seradra's probably Seradra's definitely made for Finon as a supporter in various ways, but because it will accelerate Finon's ability to do damage in his DPS phase, but it also works really, really well with Anaxa. So, and she's also a wind character, so wind comps are likely to be relatively likely to come back into the meta. So, say we'll definitely get a look in there when that happens for Seradra. But yeah, and also since even though, oops, I stood in the gate and now I'm being flung across the map. Since when Hisselin comes out, she's largely designed to be used in conjunction with other dot characters and not as the dot character. Much in the way Kafka is. Like, Kafka's pretty naff by herself, much in the way, and she works that way as well. And Black Swan is also kind of naff by herself. They kind of need to be together. Like, you need to pair more than one dot character with another dot character, and some way of making them pop. In order for the archetype as a whole to function at all. But since that basically by default implies the Black Swan has to be relevant, I am expecting that 3.4. Hold on. Are we on 3.4 or are we on 3.3? I don't even remember.
We're on 3.4.
We're on 3.4, no. Yeah. So I'm expecting that 3.5 is likely to be heavy on wind in the meta, meaning Saber is going to be one of the top picks for that particular cycle. But yeah, I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get enough gear together so that I can actually use her for anything, though. And she's kind of a very hungry character, in that she wants lots of turns, and she wants lots of SP, and she wants lots of energy. So you kind of need a pretty tricked out team to field her. Now, for both of these fake characters, Ari has pretty much a perfect deck set up already. Especially considering he has Wowo at E1. Wowo at E0 is sort of like flipping a coin whether or not you're just going to wipe, because Wowo is energy hungry when she needs to do a lot of healing, and that's pretty much offset by her E1.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of the ledger, her energy regen is good for anybody who needs to ult a lot, and Saber needs to ult a lot. And
The attack
so
buff ain't
giving
nothing to sneeze at either.
the main purpose is ulting a lot.
Yeah.
Because she wants Saber wants everybody in the party to be ulting a lot, which is what makes Woho so strong, because she generates energy for everybody. But yeah, and she would probably not be BIS if she's probably still BIS, probably just by a tiny margin though. if you don't have her E1, but she benefits a lot from her E1 simply because if you have Saber, and this applies to Archer as well to a great extent, you pretty much have to play hyper carry. There aren't really any archetypes that work. Like Saber basically wants to use all of the skill points for herself and have all of the energy directed at her, and Archer basically won't give anybody else a chance to touch the skill points, which is why you need to pair him with Sparkle, because there's no other way to get enough skill points. The popular way of doing it currently is to build Sparkle for crazy high speed and Archer for very little speed, and just use Sparkle as a pair of boots for Archer, and have her pull him along the turn order that way. Because giving Archer lots of turns doesn't really help, because without Sparkle having lots of turns, you can't supply the SP necessary for Archer to do burst phases. So, generally speaking, Archer's being fielded in ideal teams involving Wowo and Cypher and whoever else you want, or Sparkle, basically. So that's sort of the standard pattern. I will probably use something in a similar vein. The really high rate of ults that Hyacine has is a reasonable substitute for Wowo, because anybody's ult will do as far as Saber is concerned. She's not fussy. She just cares about the volume. But I'll probably use Silverwolf in place of Cypher. Though that's sort of like a little bit of wasted budget, since Silverwolf has now, the rebuild version of Silverwolf has more of an AoE focus, but hasn't lost any of her single target ability. So that's probably what I'll do in that vein. But Saber basically just wants to be hyper carried by whoever can feed her resources. She doesn't really care where they come from. So yeah, you just stick in the team whatever you've got lying around, and I think I've got every premium Harmony unit in the game now, so I can just pile in whoever I need to. So yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to having a tool around with the combat system that they've put in for the Fate event. It seemed rather elaborate compared to what I expected, but I'm fine with that. And the people have been posting heaps of screenshots of like pre-match banter and stuff from the characters that participate in it. All of them are sort of like, in-universe gags of various kinds, but I find that plenty entertaining, since I've got a good ground in both settings. But yeah, there's not really anything else I'm expecting that after this big glut of content. And I think a lot of people are underselling just the sheer quantity of content that this patch has dropped with, simply because it's structured differently. They are not acknowledging it. But it has been an absolute crap ton of content to wade through. I mean, your opinion of it might vary, but in terms of volume, there is plenty there. And I'm reasonably pleased with that, especially since I'm about to be clocked to the back of the head by another big pile of content from ZZZ. So, yeah, generally speaking, people playing the Ho-Yo slop are eating pretty good at the moment.
All right. Yeah. One day, I actually, I need to sit down with Star Rail, honestly, and just power my way through the Lofu and get back on track with that one.
Yeah, I don't experience the loafer fatigue that most people did. So yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I'm just less discriminating. I don't mind at all just wading through endless text boxes of minutia from Foreign Civilization. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And also
I
a certain general
most
who
people
is very, very lazy.
most people seem to suffer from loafer fatigue. But then again, I've also seen people say all the exact things that people say about the loafer about Penacony.
Okay.
And I thought Penacony was distinctly better than the Lofu, even though I didn't have the problems other people do with the Lofu. And, I still seeing people saying the same thing. But then again, I'm seeing people say the same things that people said about the Lofu, about Amphorius too. So I think that a lot of people are just unpleasable. Or, alternatively, although not strictly alternatively, because it can be both. They're just hearing people complaining or seeing that there's room to complain and making a bunch of noise because it will start a fight online and they can get some clout that way.
My problem with the Lofu isn't, well, it is partly all the lore bombing that's going on, but also that the first couple of areas are very samey looking. They're just kind of blue corridors and shipping containers.
Once you
Yeah, it's the dock, for crying out loud. It's a dock.
Does
It's going to be
everything
full
have
of
to be
shipping containers.
But does
Yes.
it have to be so blue?
I like all of Pinacone pretty much,
Why is it so blue?
and I think
Pinacone at least looks like it's having fun with everything.
and as soon as you finish the main story in the Lofu, all the extra stuff, the
Yeah,
ghost hunting event is a lot of fun. It is
Ghost Hunters is peak. Like, that is still my favorite event. Even though my favorite other franchise has come to the game now, Ghost Hunters is still peak.
I think
Because it's got the bents. It's got the bents.
I think the problem with the Lofu more than anything else is the same problem that Liyue has in Genshin, is the novelty's kind of worn off at the start of the game, and they still haven't hit their stride for writing and mechanics yet. So after this, you do Liyue in Genshin, then you go over to Inazuma, and things take a notable step up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't like Pinacone for various reasons. Like, as far as the setting goes, I like Pinacone as well. I think that it's got a real something to it that they never really leaned into as hard as I think that they should have. But you can sort of in Pinacone, you can sort of feel the griminess of it all. Like, it's all glitz and glamour, but you can sort of feel like it's a really unhealthy civilization
It
that
has
is
that
there.
patina of sleaze.
It's like it's all everybody gets to live out their dreams, etc., etc., but it's all a little bit poisonous. It's all a little bit like, yeah, but this isn't really what's good for you, is it?
brought to you by Soul Glad.
It's like it's got a real atmosphere of sort of, tainted paradise to it that I think works really, really well, and they should have leaned even harder into it. And there's also a certain amount of like background psychological horror stuff that they could have leaned into as well, that I hope that they find room to in the future, since Hoyo games invariably revisit and revisit and revisit old locations, and I think Pinocchio is ripe for that because there's lots of sort of dangling plot threads floating around in there. But yeah,
Meanwhile, the obvious question, of course, is how spoilery is the Fate event? I assume not.
It's very, 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 very spoilery. Very, 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 very spoilery. It's also going to be around forever, so don't hurry.
Yeah, the entire
the
ending of Pinacone
key-
will be spoiled for you.
Yeah, the key sort of mystery that's set up, that is the fulcrum on which the finale turns, is just completely outed in the
Oh,
favor.
well, that's no fun.
Yeah, you.
But this isn't Genshin. You aren't on a timer. You can do this event whenever you want.
Yeah, you'll miss the early rewards, but they're not enough to throw away all of Pinacone.
Probably just a few extra quartz, really, isn't it?
Yeah, just let it go and don't fate until you finish Pinacone. And I mean all of Pinacone. Even
log in and get your free character though.
Oh yeah, definitely get the free character.
Yeah, you
get that free dart.
You will have a hard time making Archer work without Sparkle. It's just the way the cookie crumbles with the skill point munchers.
Yeah, you can use Hanya, and
you're gonna have a hard time making Archer work without Sparkle. But
I don't know. I think I see a potential future in which they could ease that somewhat. They just have to commit to it, because the real problem is that their refusal to make any 4-star characters.
They need a 4-star Sparkle to make it work.
I think that it would actually be better for their game, in both in terms of its longevity to the general player and to their sort of long-term profit margins, if they just made it rain 4 stars. Like, give people the options and then sell the upgrades to those options. Don't just sell the concept in isolation with no 4-star alternative, because that just makes people feel like they're being hedged out of the meta.
Yeah.
It's true, yes, if you've got god tier artifacts, you can push through with 4 stars and still clear everything in the game. And if you have good luck with Ching Chui, you can nuke practically anything still. But the reality is that they need a more healthy character ecosystem than what they currently have. So, like I said, you can use Hanya to offset skill point issues. Like, if you use Hanya as a support, as like the buffer, and you use Gallagher as your healer, because Gallagher takes no skill points to operate practically, and you put in, say, Ruan Mei as your support, who's also like pretty neutral on skill points. You can make her skill point positive if you happen to get a hold of her signature light cone, or if you run um the right light cones, you can sort of improve her skill point viability. And you've got a reasonably competent team there, because I mean, if your aim is not 36 starring Memory of Chaos, you only need to be good enough to get through the story to enjoy what's
Yeah,
actually valuable about the game.
that's the
Because
important.
none of the Hoyo games are awesome at, like they're not industry leading at any facet other than their story. ZZZ, you can make a cogent argument for the action, but you can make a cogent argument for the action in any number of action games. Like, there are people who will say Wuwa is better at action. There are people who say Punishing Grey Raven is better at action, etc., etc.
No,
But
Yeah, at the end of the day, gacha games tend to have the ones that have a good story anyway. You finish the story, you get into the end game, and you'll just set yourself up for a massive grind at that
well,
point.
yeah, you get on the meta treadmill and you keep running forever, basically,
Yeah,
while you wait for more story to come out.
yeah. The fact of the matter is, Genshin and Star Rail simply don't rotate their end games enough to warrant meta chasing, unless you are a
but
crazy person.
everyone likes Imagineering Theatre.
No, even if
So
it.
I think
No.
that the ZZZ system is just more healthy, and I think that you can make it. It's harder to make it work in Genshin because Stygian Onslaught is broken, Imaginarium Theatre is broken, and Spiral Abyss is just a boring slog. So they have issues with the end game that need to sort it out. But the only thing that Star Rail would need to do would be to rotate the end game twice as fast. That would increase everybody's Jade income and give everybody something to do every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that would be all. That would be it. And everybody would feel like they had more pulling power and more stuff to do.
There would actually be a reason to keep up with the meta. There would be more Jades coming in. There'd be a whole lot more potential team builds you could
I
try
think
out and viability.
I think that what I've observed in ZZZ is that the meta feels less like a thing, simply because you're going to get so many more cycles where your team is relevant that you won't feel the change of the meta as drastically.
Yeah, and if
Because when the meta shifts in Star Rail, it's like getting kicked in the balls. Everything that you thought worked doesn't work anymore. In ZZZ, it glides so incrementally that you pretty much don't see it happening until you slip to losing a star on Deadly Assault, and then you have to either just hang tight until things go your way again, or rethink your strategy. But
yeah,
it doesn't feel like the rug is being pulled out from under you the way it does in Star Rail, because Star Rail rotates slower. So when the meta changes, everything falls apart all at once.
yeah, there's a deadly assault you can't max star 1 week, or a Shu defense where one of the last two nodes is giving you a bit of trouble and you can't quite get max on it. 2 weeks a new one will be out.
I really think that the optimal for Star Rail is to follow the ZZZ approach, and just, well, they've got 3 game modes. There's no reason you can't swap one every week.
Yeah,
Just do it.
it's not like you need to turbo calibrate these things as hard if you're rotating them that fast. You don't need to leave them in testing that long.
And
If
you've got a better excuse to reuse them as well.
Yeah, I mean, ZZZ gets away with a whole game mode that is literally just pull a boss, tweak its moveset a bit, and then apply a random modifier that gets you bonus points.
Yeah, I think that Hoyo has got so far quite a good track record of their teams actually learning from each other, though. They are not Capcom.
Yeah, Genshin's getting there. It's not getting there very fast though.
Well, they are getting there, though. Like, there has been a definitive change in Genshin since Star Rail gave it a kick up the backside, and then ZZZ came along and gave it a second kick up the backside. Things have actually been changing.
Yeah.
Like Imaginarium Theatre may be trash, and Stygian Onslaught might be a mess, but they didn't happen at all for years. And then Star Rail and ZZZ came out, and they both happened.
Yeah. Stygian Onslaught at least has a skeleton there they can fix, I think.
I think
But
that you can fix Imaginarium Theatre as well. It's just that you need to recalibrate it to be more along the lines of the whatchamacallit, the Hollow Zero exploration in ZZZ, and less along the lines of just we're going to cut out most of your roster and force you to use these characters, and if you don't have enough, you can't play.
yeah.
Everything about Imaginarium Theatre is dumb, and I think that they probably haven't fixed it because it's gotten to the level of this is like trying to fix Arpeggio Fault at this point.
Yeah, it's bad. So yeah.
Anyway, I'll leave it there.
All right. I'll keep going with the Star Rail stuff because I didn't interject in your week because I
I didn't want to say anything too colourful because Fern can still enjoy it.
yeah. So we'll do the pulls first. I did the irresponsible thing and bought a big pack of Jade, and just got
He is officially a Leviathan.
yeah. So
He's bought a big pack of everything in every Ho-Oh game.
Yeah.
yeah, I bought the big pack in Genshin, and I bought big pack, the 50 pack, and the 25 pack in ZZ.
You've bought multiple big packs in Genshin. It's just some of them were before your hiatus.
Yeah.
Because
So,
you were really irresponsible back near the start of the game. I don't know exactly what you were trying to accomplish, and I don't know if you do either.
oh, don't ask me what I had for breakfast, let alone like 2 or 3 years ago. But 4 years ago. But yeah. So I bought one big pack of Jade and Star Rail and just went ahead and got Saber out of the way and grabbed a light cone, and that was enough to get Archer's light cone, and now I don't have to think about it. That I knew that would drive me more nuts than anything else, and was it worth $100 to make that bit of irritation go away? Probably not. But I just went ahead and did it anyway because I play the games enough, I guess. I don't intend to buy any more other than the Battle Pass and Star Rail, but we will see on that.
I'm
But
not rational about Star Rail. I'm not rational about Star Rail. It has the most appealing waifus to me compared to the other games. So it's very easy to sucker me into pulling for a character.
number of
Look
five.
at how it go.
Yeah, we're also in a drought of 5-star blondes that are limited in
I'm sorry to tell you this, Aristeel, but there are not many blondes in China. It's just
in Star
that's
Rail.
just not at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Well, it's in the forefront of mine, and Pinnaconia is not China. So
Like I tell you, Niberius is blonde. It's implied that she might not have always been blonde, but she's blonde. Because one thing I didn't mention is that they did a lore video, an animation short for Genshin, which covers basically what are the shades up to at this point. The shades are going to become much more important for later on in Natlan, but they are basically part of the cosmology. Of which,
Right.
so the lowest tier of the cosmology on Teyvat is the Archons. They are not very high in the hierarchy, but there are various other powers between the ground and the sky, as it were, with the heavenly principles theoretically occupying the top spot, but obviously not exactly because Teyvat's not quite normal. But
Yeah. And honestly, I think we're still missing a lot of pieces on that puzzle.
the lieutenants that enforce the fundamental laws of the heavenly principles are the four shades, which are the shade of death, the shade of life, the shade of time, and the shade of space. So the shade of space is the one that separates the twins at the very start, Asmodee, and the other three are Istaroth, Niberius, and Renova. And so they've all been revealed. They are, of course, all waifus.
Because of course they are.
And so there was a sudden surge of people like, maybe the heavenly principles aren't so bad after all. I mean, what grand crime did Renova commit? Really? I mean, sure, she extinguished the civilization of Canria, but if practically everybody from Canria we've met has been an absolute cock anyway. So, so who cares?
I mean, there is a certain degree of logic in that.
Wait, I can't. Dang it! I can't go to the other island with specters. Vern hasn't unlocked it yet.
The Mist Island have specters or something.
No, the
Or
Lightning
is it
Island.
Lightning. Oh, Lightning Island also has specters. Okay.
And I don't want to go there if he hasn't finished the quest anyway.
Well, you can go and steal my ones if you want. I
I'll
can
be-
always drop out of this.
I'll be fine. It's okay. I was just doing it because I was already in Fern's world. I haven't even got mine today.
There just aren't that many specters on the map.
No,
Period.
yeah, they're just an incredibly obnoxious thing to farm. You just got to remember to hit every day.
But yeah, so that now that the heavenly principles have all been revealed, the three of them are white-haired Bishojo, but one of them is a blonde, and it's the one that we're most likely to see be playable for various story reasons. So maybe there's another blonde coming. You don't know. It could happen. I don't know who in the more direct Honkai branch of the story is blonde. Blondness in Hoyo's stories, in the like particularly the Honkai side of the universe, often seems to be linked to some other kind of strangeness. Like there just aren't really that many. Like there's way more white-haired characters than there are blonde ones from memory. Like Durandal is blonde, but it's implied that she might not always have been blonde and that her turning blonde was the result of an accident. That seems to be the case with a bunch of things. Like Niberius, the Shade of Life, was also probably not always blonde and is blonde now due to various events. So, yeah, that seems to be the way they do things. I don't know when Star Rail's going to add more blondes to the cast. You got Bubblegum Pink instead.
Yeah. So yeah. This was not a zero factor in pulling Saber.
Blonde staffed.
Yeah, because we just don't have enough blondes. It was a significantly more than zero factor in pulling Aglaya before we knew about her story. But yeah, so I don't have
any... really jive with her story in the end. Like, I think she's probably one of my favorites among them.
Man, I need to retool her gear and get her more speed. She is very hard to get off the ground in a lot of fights. I just don't have enough speed on that girl. But yeah. So yeah, my opinion of the Fate event is it was I don't have the same kind of glowing praise that Ball does for it, and I don't have the same kind of vitriol for it that the internet does. I thought it was, as the kids would say these days, very mid.
Very mid is glowing praise for a crossover event, because normally they're atrocious.
They are usually pretty
Has everybody forgotten Aloy?
Deliberately, yes.
Yeah, well, Aloy. But yeah, there were a few moments I liked in it. A few character spots with it. I like that Robin got some screen time. She has had a lot since the end of the Pentagoni story floating around, but I always like seeing more of her. Boot Hill's always fun when he's around, even though his presence was
unusual to see him not joined at the hip to Argenti.
Yeah, and it wasn't as how can we put this, as screw wubbaboo as it normally is.
That's a word.
That is the word he uses.
Right.
Well, it's not the word he's intending to use.
I did. There's a few funny moments from the Trailblazer. Like you get a text message that's long and filled with all kinds of flowery words in it. That's ostensibly from Boot Hill, and the first response is, "Man, he's swearing up a storm."
Yeah. Oh, hey, Aoife's just standing around here in that land too. Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting to me how many lines they let Trailblazer have.
Yeah, Trailblazer did talk a lot this patch. Just does. I got the tone and mood they were going for with the ending bit. I did not care for its presentation at all. I understand why they did it that way and all that jazz. It just it didn't resonate with me at all. That I didn't expect any of the crossover characters to get any kind of deep characterization because of cross company IPs. Uh, but the consequence of that is it's a crossover. It's a crossover event. It did not. It did not sing with me particularly hard. I'm not as diehard
think
on.
expecting otherwise would have been insane, and that's why I'm so confused that everybody seems to be upset about it. Like this is like really, really high tier for a crossover event. Normally they are unspeakably shite.
I think a combination of the way of how much Hoyo puffed it up and how much the community then in turn amplified that puff got at people's expectations through the stratosphere.
I don't think Hoyo really did puff it up very much. Like they have been surprisingly restrained about it. Like they only mention it now and again, in the lead up, and they've had way less promotion for it than they would for other ones. Like they didn't even make character trailers
I
for
see.
the characters. Like they're operating at like 30% of the normal promotions that they would put behind a big Trailblaze continuance. Like there is a version of this event that is existing in people's imaginations that does not and never did exist, but has been conjured up purely due to I think this is just another thing we can lay at the feet of the sodding content creators,
Mm-hmm.
which are basically the most cancerous element in the entire Hoyo fandom, because they will postulate some usually inane take and then like Broadway style street gangs will form up around those points of view, and they'll have like an incredibly noisy and idiotic fight about it.
That actually sounds incredible.
Yeah, this does seem to be the way
But
the content creators are.
fundamentally, it just comes down to a bunch of grifters clout farming, and
Yeah.
everything is based on that.
Yeah.
Sensationalism.
And what if you've been on the internet as long as we have, you know that you can't. You can always expect the low-brained, thoughtless crowd to be large in number and follow the first point of view they hear. Then the one that makes the rounds the most is always going to be the one that's the most sensational. But yeah, I do think
I mean,
that
I think it's very fair to like. There's nothing unfair about judging this story, this crossover story, as being shite in isolation, because it is. Like there's nothing particularly grand about it. It's a very perfunctory story with very minimal characterizations. I think it's got a couple of nice bright points in there and nice bits of presentation, but as a whole thing, it is very, very, very mid.
yeah.
But the reality is that there was never headspace for it to be anything else.
I did like that we got to see more Scott.
I've seen heaps of people complaining about seeing more Scott. It's like, oh, we don't like this guy.
That's the point.
Yeah, I was like, do you not understand? Do you not understand? He's Scott. That's the whole point.
I saw a lot of people in the feeds of the YouTubes mad about the fact that Scott was briefly playable before some other character that they wanted to be playable.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of amusing in its own way. Although I think that Scott is likely to keep coming back over and over. This just seems to be he's the designated Team Rocket character.
He is the designated event butt monkey. Also, I like how
it's a rough job, but somebody's got to do it.
I like how they maintained his characterization of after Mr. Tail has confirmed to us there is not a nice bone in Scott's body. That his soul is just an oily, nasty mess with no bright spots whatsoever. Where when they had the opportunity
for Aristeal, the Scott of Justice.
Yeah, I didn't buy that for a second because I remember what Mr. Tail told me.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Tail's not going to be wrong about something like this.
But yeah, Mr. Tail was 100% on the money. I did not buy that for a second, and I was like, "Yep."
The thing that really sells it is Mr. Tail was like, Mr. Tail was more charitable towards Scott. Of all people, Mr. Tail thought that Scott had something something higher in him, something redeemable.
But no,
Not that, no. Turns out he's just a garden variety scumbag.
no, he is just slimy down to the core. The scene where the flashback scene where Scott's dad is like, "I'm so proud of you for selling me out to the higher ups to advance your own life, son. That's the kind of crude, ruthless businessman I was trying to raise." And Mr. Tails just like, "What?"
That explains so much.
Good
Oh
old Scott.
no!
There are a lot
So
of
I'm just
things.
running around doing other stuff in Genshin, and I've just found Tainari and Saito standing in a log, so I know
They-
what's about to happen.
Oh, that might already be
Yes.
happening.
But,
It's dad jokes.
But yeah, the thing, one thing that's not actually mentioned in the event, but has been basically made canon by external content and on the YouTube channel, is that canonically Scott considers like his only true competition as a villain to be March 7th.
What?
Well, there was that one time that involved diarrhea.
That's what specifically what he refers to, is that there's only one person who is lower than him, and it's the person who decided to beat him in his own game by adding laxatives to his food before a match.
I mean,
So he views March 7 as sort of like an aspirational rival. Like nobody is as big of an underhanded scumbag as March 7 as far as he's concerned.
you will get to meet Scott for the first time on the Lofu in one of the two in the event that precedes the ghost hunting event. He comes back many times. But yeah,
There was still things I think that were good about it. Like I liked the fact that they decided to do some exploration of the alternate ending to the Herta Space Station chapter, where you just choose not to go with the Astral Express,
yeah,
and and then it rolls credits. I thought it was interesting they decided to, we'll actually leverage this and do something with it.
yeah. That was okay. That section was I know the tone they were going for with it. I just didn't care for that section at all.
Well, I've never heard you pleased about any story in Star Rail, so I'm still going to consider that to be fairly positive.
Well, I like the ghost hunting story, and I've told you I liked Pinnacone's stuff.
Yeah, but you never liked anything specific about any of them.
I like the choo-choo trains that Robin summons to. Oh, I can't go further because spoilers.
Yeah, let's avoid spoilers, please.
That's vague enough that it should get you interested in Pinnaconey.
I am always a fan of random choo-choo trains.
But yeah, and I liked all of the 3.3 patch. But
That's not what you said last week.
no, that's the 3.4 patch.
Oh, 3.4. Okay, so you basically didn't like 3.4 was what I came away with.
Yeah, I did not like
You thought it was
3.4.
bad.
I did not like 3.4 very much. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say bad, but it was definitely not as hype for me as it appears to be for other people, which is unfortunate because it has good moments in it. It just didn't sing with me very good. But 3.3 I really liked. All the stuff with Space Barbara and her patch. But yeah. So that's Star Rail. I have Saber now. I got the stupid Lycone. I don't have to think about it anymore. And I don't know what to pull for next. Don't have any active pull plans. Like I can't get the upcoming dot character because I don't have Black Swan. I can't. I don't have enough components for a break team to justify. Well, I probably could cobble a Kludge one together if I got Firefly, but I'm not going to do that.
You would be obliged to use Harmony Trailblazer,
Yeah,
which would remove Remembrance Trailblazer from your roster.
and she's already required on too many teams as it is. So yeah, I don't really have any plans for Star Rail. Don't really have any pull plans for Genshin either. None of the other characters have really sung to me yet. We'll see how their gameplay looks when they hit and how much fun they look like to run around with. But like basically, I pulled all the Natlane characters because they look fun to play, and I have not got that vibe from any of the upcoming characters in Genshin. and I'm continuing
No,
just
you
to.
don't. You didn't pull Sitlali because she looked fun to play.
No,
You pulled Sitlali because you pulled her weapon.
yeah, I pulled Sitlali because I got her weapon and didn't know who else I could use it on because Nahida already had hers. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm doing there. ZZZ just in farm mode this week. Wait until next week. Going to be a big ZZZ week, so uh, we'll go into all that there. But swimsuit outfits, summer event, new characters, chain support coming out. Probably going to pull for that one. I'm not sure about Alice yet. Might have to let that one go just because the Fufu disaster happened. But
That's probably Orphe and Seed.
I have to go clarify what those words mean again.
Orphe.
I'm
She's got horns. She has a very talkative tail.
I'm totally brain farting right now. Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay, took a second.
There's not
Yeah.
many characters with a talkative tail.
It took a long second.
Except Huo.
Yeah, it's been a bit since I remembered seeing her.
Yeah, Orphe is the Huo of ZZZ.
Yeah. So yeah. That's where we're at with that one. I'll say
Seed is the big robot that's a part of their squad as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go into more ZZZ next week. I'm just gonna delay all that because we have an entire new patch to talk about. Let's see. There was other stuff. Like I mentioned before, the Shadowverse first arena tournament happened. It was pretty fun. Just to go in there and see what kind of decks people have developed with this intro pack. I'll probably pull back on it a bit until the first expansion comes out, just because the card roster is very small right now, so decks have solidified for the early days. And I've finished the battle pass that I purchased in that game, so not a whole lot of incentive to get on and do more than my daily one game at a table, which doesn't even require you to win. So that's where Shadowverse is at right now. Where do we go? Blue Archive happened. I did the entire Blue Archive event. I liked all of it. Pretty much. I thought its story was very good. Not the best event story they've ever told, but it was pretty good. Pretty good. I like anything with Niru in it. I didn't expect to like Niru so much when she was first revealed, or when I first knew the character existed. Rather, she's always been in the game, I'm pretty sure. But she just seems to make everything better, and Seiya is super adorable.
And Rio is the most tismal character of any character in any fiction I've ever seen.
Rio is the embodiment of Tism. Like the design document for Rio's character sheet just says Tism.
I'm pretty sure it also says Booba.
Probably, but that may or may not be implied for Blue Archive roster for half the cast. Speaking of, have you seen the scene in the fitness center with Hasumi yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I thought that was funny. I liked her little chibi animations after the runaway treadmill finally lets her go. But yeah, I spent a lot of time just running around and just looking around Millennium and having fun with the event. It was a good time. The farming events or whatever, it's an easy way for me to dump my stamina every day while I got other games going on too, and do it quick. I managed to get to rank 32, I think, on the PvP ladder after being absent forever, and I'm regularly holding the top 30.
Well, you are playing on the US server, which is trivially easy.
Yeah, so whatever bracket
I got. If you do your 5 attempts every day, you can make top 20 in US. Yeah. If you're lucky to stay in the top 100 on the Asia server.
Yeah, so
if you're using like a full meta comp like I am.
Yeah, no, I just have the swimsuit, give them the hose, and just hope for the best.
If that's all you do, you can easily top the US charts because it's just totally non-competitive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I share a serve with all those the sodding Indonesians, which are all absolutely manic about the game for some reason.
Yeah. So let's talk about the swim salute. I've come back to the game. I don't know what teams function anymore. I don't even remember most of what my old teams were. However, there is a Hanako with a garden hose. And this seems to fix every problem.
Well, I think she's a fist character, so
Yeah. So, is there something you're having trouble with? Point the garden hose at it. And she does a comical amount of damage for only 2 units of energy, and she can store multiple charges of it. So that has
it's
been
like
my
in a world where everybody is armed with an actual firearm, the most powerful weapon of all is the common garden hose.
swim salute with a garden hose. So I've been with the swim salute and the garden hose. Hanako has carried me through getting caught up on all the regular content from the normal and hard missions due to simplified mode and me not needing to sit there and cobble together teams for the dumb mode that I'm probably never going to do now, even though there's pyros in there. Because Blue Archive gives me enough pyros that I don't actually have to go scrounging. I'm already back up to 30k doing all those, just about, and going through and doing the current event and any backlogged everything from when I was playing. And just poking my head in Grand Assault again in my first week back. The sushi robots were up, so did those. I managed to scrounge up enough that I'll have something to throw at the Fez banners. Happens. But yeah, that's I did get Seiya, and I've been throwing the rest of my pulls at Asuna because her mechanics are just super unique. It looks like something nice to have in your back pocket. Not going to go for multiple copies of either of them. I just am not that into the end game of Blue Archive with it, so I can, as long as I got them in the pocket, if they turn out to be absolutely necessary for a level of play I decide to get to later, that's what the regular Ligmas are for. Just go to the Ligma shop. So yeah, there's that. And that ate a bunch of my time this week. Last week, or near the start of this week, before I jumped on the Blue Archive event before it started, and well before the Star Rail event came out, the thing I did was I finished another Switch game in my backlog while I was still watching the Shadowverse story, which I finished rewatching. And while the ending is very over the top, it is the best ending you could possibly hope for, and still see every single story element resolved, which is great, with tons of good character moments all over the place. But I went through and I have had Mario Wonder sitting on my account on the Switch 1, and it plays on the Switch 2. So I went through that game and been going through that after I finished 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Mario Wonder is interesting in that it is a very fun game that is also an acid trip.
Yes.
Every single
I played it.
Every single level has a Wonder Seed effect somewhere in the level that will make a good solid half to third, or sometimes the whole level, just a really wacky, weird acid trip effect that changes the way Mario normally operates. So this can mean that all the pipes come to life and start snaking across the ground. The piranha plants can suddenly start singing and doing a auto-scroller where they sing a little tune and parade across the screen, and you have to dodge them. It can make...
That song was a meme for a little while.
It was. It can make giant hippos turn into inflatable balloons that bounce all over the place, and you have to somehow navigate to the collectible while their bounciness is obstructing you.
That level was incredibly infuriating.
Yeah, it can do all kinds of silly stuff like that. And in general, for basic platforming, it's probably one of the best Mario games out there, just because of both the novelty of the wonder mechanics, making every level interesting. You really want to see what happens in all these levels. And the badge system in the game. The badge system is very unique for this type of, or this Mario game anyway. It's not unique to platformers. Plenty of platformers have had something similar. But it's the first time I think Mario's ever done it in a traditional 2D platformer, where in addition to the regular power-ups you can pick up, like the Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower, etc., you can equip a badge going into every level, and these will give you an option on the controller for when you hit R1 or R2, I forget which one. And most of them are tied to that button. Some of them are tied to you doing specific stuff, but they will give you a new move to use. Like the first one you get is a parachute cap, where you just whip out a Mario hat and can glide after a jump to more precisely land. There's another one that if you crouch for about 2 or 3 seconds, you'll do a super jump when you jump out of the crouch. And there's another one that gives you the Mario Galaxy twirly jump that lets you add a little bit of extra height to your jumps and stay airborne just a little bit longer. Like there's all kinds of stuff like that you can equip, various moves. Some of them make the game harder, like the springy shoes that make it so you are constantly bouncing, but you can bounce way higher if you press and hold the jump button while bouncing.
Yeah, there's a few useless ones as well, but for the most part, they all seem to have some role.
Yeah, I also did not have any problem
with you.
Yeah, I also didn't have any problems 100% in the game as I went. I did have to replay a few levels, but the game is relatively short, so that's not that big a deal. And the only one I had to look up was in the second level, the one with the singing piranha plants. There's a secret exit in that level that is the only one I could not find by accident.
Yeah, because I think that, if I recall, you have to double back for that one. It's the only time you have to do it.
After the piranha plants are done singing, before progressing to the goal, you have to turn around and jump somewhere that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
On top of a, sideways pipe and then climb up on top of a rock. It's the only one. It's the only one that there is no natural guidance, that there is possibly a secret exit there. All the other secret exits are perfectly fine. You'll see very conspicuous walls that are like, there's clearly something back there. Or are off. You can see somewhere that's clearly off the beaten path that is like, yeah, you can go there.
Yeah, or it opens up when you activate the Wonder Mode.
Yeah, and you'll see it, or you'll just get it naturally. That one is the only one I had to go look up. Everything else, even all the 10 flower coins in the game, easy to collect and 100%. So this meant I could unlock the super duper hard challenge at the end. Because there is the secret world. It has the penultimate finale, and then it says, come back when you finished everything. And then it has the final challenge. And then after you beat that, if you've got super 100% on everything, you get the final challenge. And
which is a trip.
So for this one, there are no wonder effects in this level. It is just a platforming gauntlet. And there are 2 checkpoints in it, which is unusual for these super hard Mario levels they've started putting in at the end of the games. But what it does do is there will be 3 to 4 rooms where every room you enter will be a long gauntlet of platforming where you're forced to use a specific badge. You can't take your own badge into it, so if you're used to the twirly jump like I was, you are only going to have it for one of those rooms. It's going to be replaced by all the different power-ups. And some of these power-ups are really, really hard to use, like the aforementioned springy jump shoes. I died so many times in that room. But it was still a lot of fun to go through. What was not fun was the very last room being the invisible cap that makes your character invisible.
Yeah.
And that room also having the flagpole in it. And touching the top of the flagpole counts for 100%.
Yep.
Do you see where this is going? I missed the flagpole because I couldn't judge my jump properly and had to redo the whole gauntlet again.
Yeah, it took me, I think, 3 tries.
So yeah, it took me about 170 lives. No, not 170, 70 lives. To do it twice.
There's a couple of other hidden mechanics, actually, which the game kind of tells you about. The first is multiplayer, where you can stack up on top of each other. If one player's playing a Yoshi, then yeah, you can ride around on the other player.
Yeah, well, multiplayer in Yoshi feels like it's defeating the purpose, because Yoshi can't take damage from enemies.
Yeah, Yoshi and Nabbit are baby mode.
Yeah, they're game journalist mode.
Yeah.
But even selecting them for a 2-player option of cheese feels like cheating.
It does. Everyone else, you can just Goomba stomp your friends to get that extra jump if you really need to.
Yeah,
They go
so,
in the pit, but who cares about them?
yeah. So I played Daisy the whole way through. Elephant Daisy is hilarious looking to me.
Elephant Daisy is hilarious. I like Elephant Daisy.
So yeah, it's a good time. The only disappointment I had with the game was it's much less junk food than 3D World was. The levels are far more interesting and fun. But the only downside is the boss fights are terrible.
Yeah. The boss fights were just boring, honestly.
Yeah, there are only 2 bosses in the game. One of them you fight 3 times with a slightly
Yeah.
different environment. That's
And frankly, Bowser's not really a boss fight. He's just a party. He's there to have a good time.
yeah, he's just a rhythm game.
Yeah. Just stomp at the right time and you'll win.
Yeah, it's not even stomp, it's just jump at the right time to the beat of the music.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Game did not take very long to 100% at all. It's a very short game. I did it in a week.
Mhm.
And my next project has been, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I recommend Wonder eventually for people. If you've got a Switch and you enjoy platformers, it's one of the better Mario ones. As long as boss fights and platformers aren't a highlight to you, they rarely are, to be honest. But this one has especially bad boss fights.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a good platformer, it's really good. Just a bit short with not very good bosses.
Yeah.
Still really
That'll
doesn't sound like you've gotten your money's worth out of this console, though.
No, this was a game I had for the Switch One already, sitting on my account that I never got around to playing.
Yeah. Honestly, with all the money I made,
I don't see
over
how
the
that
last
changes anything about what I said.
Yeah, no, the Switch
Like-
2 adds nothing to the game. Doesn't make it load faster. Doesn't make it run better. Nothing.
No. Is there a booster pack for it? Because I bet you there is. They want you to pay extra for it.
No, it's already runs at 60 FPS on the Switch One, and just there are basically
Yeah.
no load times in that game anyway.
Yeah, there's really nothing for them to improve beyond adding extra content.
yeah, so the extra juice in the system just doesn't matter, and there's no DLC pack that I'm aware of.
Yeah. There's not.
But yeah,
So yeah. Again, I should probably go out and get a Switch 2. I just don't have any purpose to at this point.
no, you shouldn't. You
What do you mean
not.
you should? Where does the should come from?
No, you shouldn't.
How do you arrive at should?
Unless you've got
Well-
family or friends that are
Yeah.
actively playing and peer pressuring you to go.
I don't
get
think I don't think that's a good enough reason. I think you should make them justify it. So
Yes,
why?
at this point
Why?
you really should. But
It's like you've already got
Yeah.
a Switch. Why can't we just play that one? It's better.
yeah, the Mario Kart's better on it. That's the only game.
Yeah. My next project for trying to make that thing useful is it has been approaching. I think it's been like almost 4 years since Dread came out, and I played it the first time, Metroid Dread. And they have added free updates to that game that you don't have to pay for. Blew my mind. And this included a hard mode and a Dread mode that's the one hit kill mode, but added a hard mode, which is something every Metroid game should have out the gate. And I've been having, in the little bit I've been poking at that again, a ton of fun with hard mode. Because there's a persistent issue in Metroid-style games where they are all about exploring and collecting stuff. But the problem with that is very few of them manage to maintain any level of challenge throughout the game while doing that. Because eventually you will have so much HP or missile power-ups or what have you that you can just face tank anything all the bosses do and be BK. And just unload missiles in their face until they fall over. Dread's hard mode has so far found a very good balance of making it really feel like you need to go out of your way to try and find some of these upgrades that I do not remember the location of a single one for because it's been so long since I played the game and I only played it once. And still keeping everything not too ridiculous to a point where you just feel like you're getting squashed. The bosses, it helps that Dread's combat mechanics are the best in the series. And so you can actually learn boss patterns, and all the stuff you go explore and to find just gives you more cushion to learn the boss better. But so far, I've died at least once on every single boss on hard mode. Raid, I died like 4 times. And I'm hoping this trend keeps up because I do recall, I don't remember what they did, but I do remember some of the bosses being quite complicated, even in my original normal mode playthrough. So I'm excited to get to them and actually have some bosses I can sit down and learn the mechanics for again in a genre that I like in one of its OG influences. That's one of the things it's named after. So I'll probably be going through that for the next week. I do not recall Dread being a particularly long game. I remember it being longer than all the other 2D Metroids, but that's not hard because the other ones are like 5-hour experiences. They're not long video games.
They are very short, yes.
But this one's like 10, I think, on my first playthrough on hard mode, and you can
None
probably
of this is really answering the question of what you're supposed to use a Switch 2 for.
Oh, none of this has to do with Switch 2 because none of these are Switch 2 games. They're all Switch 1 games. I could be doing this
Are
on the
there
Switch
any
1.
Switch 2 games? That's the thing. Are there any Switch 2 games? Because I'm starting to get confused.
No,
No,
'Cause,
only Mario Kart.
there's only Mario Kart.
Like, what are you supposed to do with a Switch 2 exactly?
No.
Yeah.
Like
The big game that Nintendo thinks it's going to sell consoles is Mario Kart, but the game that will, if anything, will sell consoles is Dustblood. But that doesn't come out till I think Q3, Q4 this year.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong trailer looks good, and if the reviews come back that it's not broken on launch, I intend to try it day one.
Donkey Kong, when I get it eventually, maybe a Switch 2.
I heard they were
Donkey
putting
Kong
the
is the
new
game.
Borderlands on it.
That's the reason not to buy it.
Oh, there is one thing about Dread and the Switch 2. I do recall the original Dread having frame stutter issues occasionally with too many particle effects got on the screen. I've not noticed any of that on the Switch. It just runs like butter at 60 FPS the whole time.
Just need that little bit of extra grunt behind the system.
Yeah, it's a very.
You should try then downloading the whatchamacallit, the Switch 2 version of the Wild Hearts demo, because that was notoriously poorly optimized.
Oh dear. Yeah.
They ported it to Switch 2 recently. I don't think the actual game is out yet, but they released the demo recently on Switch 2. I'd be interested to see if the Switch 2 can even run it without chug-a-lugging the entire time.
Yeah, that would be interesting to try. I'll try to keep that in mind. But yeah, that's what I've been doing with the Switch, and that's where all the mobile games are at. That's really all I got. Work has been not too bad this week at all, but last week has set up a whole bunch of dominoes that at any moment could start crashing down and cause a ton of issues.
Fun.
So I can see the shoe coming and dropping. I'm just waiting for it to get here. But once it does, I will be out of free time for a couple weeks probably, where I'll have to ration it again. But I should not. Hopefully I'll have at least a week or two of breathing room. I had one. Hopefully I can get another one before that shoe comes all the way down and smacks me in the head. But we will see. And that's all I really got for Vidya this week. Not a whole lot else going on.
All right. We should do the email then, and I think that's honestly about it because there's not a whole lot.
I did say I'd talk about it, and I didn't.
You didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So I'm trying to get back into Blue Archive. A whole bunch of new characters are out. I pulled Seiya. I'm trying to figure out what she can be used for other than just generic cost reductions, even though she's pretty intuitive. I'm trying to Google some stuff on it. I'm trying to look up what teams can be cobbled together with what I got. And I'm going to the Googs and the various search engines around trying to figure the answer to this. And flipping Bellular's drama nonsense over the stupid nothing burger that is the Steam review event just was cluttering my search feeds and making it impossible to find any information.
Yeah, well, he's an outrage grifter, ultimately. Like so many content creators. Except he's pretentious enough to think that he's not an outrage grifter.
Yeah.
When he just happens to do exactly all the things that they do, except it's him doing them, so it's above board for some reason.
Yeah. I'm never liked the guy very much to begin with, but he made me have a personal vendetta against him this week because he wasted so much of my time.
he's the very image of a sneering tech leftist. Like he literally seems to just think he's better than everybody else.
Yeah.
He's doing everybody a favor by being a grifter. Like I don't know. Like it's he has the capacity to do work, but it's drowning in his ego, so it doesn't come out very good in the end.
Yeah. So basically, Blue Archive had an event that going on that said, if you we finally got approved on Steam. Hey, if you get us a certain number of reviews to just show some engagement, we'll throw some pyros at everybody. That was it. That was the whole event. And Bellular decided that this just could not stand and riled up his fan base to go swarm every Blue Archive related things about how they're flagrantly violating Steam terms of service. Number one.
Like literally a copy pasta of every single social media campaign that they do on every other platform. They probably just copy pasted it without thinking.
Yeah, and never mind that it is the most innocuous quote unquote violation of that that particular line in the TOS. That it
You'd think that they had hacked the system and rigged the numbers or bought a bunch of bots or something.
Yeah, no. It was likely the most innocent accidental toe stepping of the TOS that if some grifter hadn't lost his absolute butt plug over, maybe in all likelihood Steam would have just let it go. Because it's such a nothing.
You can argue on whether or not it's a good idea for them to let them go, because it doesn't really benefit Steam to punish to set a precedent of punishing their collaborators, and it also wouldn't do for Steam to let them get away with it entirely either. So there's a discussion to be had about that, but like I think Belial is probably in the category of people who think that they bear no responsibility for what they incite their fan bases to do. So yeah.
Yeah, so the Steam discussion boards, all the websites that had that I would go to look up any strategies had their comment sections polluted. Like Google's search results were polluted by this nonsense. It was just a mess, and just it was
obviously as a TOS violation. The event's been discontinued. I bet they're all patting themselves on the back now, thinking they've done something great. That they're crusaders for ethics at this point.
Yeah, this is literally the most innocuous type of violation this could have been. The only reason it's a problem is it's technically a violation of the TOS. If you look at the raw wording, I get the feeling the spirit of that particular line of the TOS was like for people botting reviews, not for hey, we'll throw a few pyros if you just increase our review count. They did not even say leave positive reviews. And it was I didn't even know the event was going on because I spam clicked through all the notifications at the start of whenever I boot the game. That's how little fanfare they gave it.
I don't think that there was actually a thing at the beginning of the game, though. I'm not sure. If there was, I didn't see it either, and I normally look at them.
Yeah, so there was next to no fanfare for this thing. It was basically
it was probably just on Twitter. That's probably what happened. But that's like every gacha game does this on social media platforms, where they will say, "Oh well, if we get a certain amount of interactions, as a promo for this event, then we'll give you some token amount of currency." And this is like the most stock standard thing they did. Probably they just classified Steam as a social media platform, since Steam has always wanted to be a social media platform, and that's probably why they just we'll do with Steam what we do with all the other social media platforms. We'll just encourage interaction with our page. That's what you do, right? That's how you promote. Like it could not be any more mundane and normal. It just so happens that there's a TOS regulation that says, "Oh, that this could constitute manipulation of your reviews, so you shouldn't do this." So, oh, okay, we won't then. No, we better create a storm in a teacup about it.
This was the most nothing burger thing of all time that drove me up the wall because it polluted my search feeds on everything.
Yeah. I'm having a quick click through and seeing if my search feeds actually had it pop up, because I think I did have it. I just didn't click it. Although for some reason the YouTube thinks I want to watch Uma Musume videos for some reason.
Yeah,
It's
that's
because you have at any point mentioned any kind of interest in any gacha at all, and your feed will now be covered in horse girls. This is
But
just
why
how it
horse
is.
girls?
No.
Why the horse girls?
Also,
Oh wait, no, I see why.
also all the VTubers are promoting the horse girls right now. So if you pay attention to
Yeah.
those at all, every single one
Yeah.
is playing horse girls right now.
Yeah, HoloLive's doing a horse girls thing at the moment, so that's why.
So-
That'd be it. Great. So my feed is full of trash again.
Yeah. So we got an email. I think I saw something about the horse girls in that email. I didn't read the full text of it though.
Zerathus, so you being harassed by horse girls as well?
Are you trying to tell me you want me to read this email?
Well, I've been banned twice.
All right. Right. Dear No Excuses, so it has come to this. I did a 20 pull on Skirk for the lols and she dropped. This is somewhat annoying since I don't have anyone to support her other than Farina. Not to mention the 50 or so pulls that went into a weapon that refused to drop. So now I'm stuck with mismatched swords. In ZZZ, I got the Ink Girl at M1 with her weapon and she has been performing excellently. Passed on the small cat because I couldn't get the hang of her playstyle. I'll be getting Alice because I'm lacking physical anomaly and probably passing on the Mesugaki because I already have the fight on Simp for anomaly support. And finally, HSR. Fight on in his cone was a breeze and his animations can only be described as so anime. Then I decided to go for Tribi, which was a mistake. Used up all my reserves to go to Hard Pity, E2 Bronya, only to realise that I don't actually have many use cases for her. Still, she's a good supporter for the team. Runmei is not in, but I guess I'll be passing on the limited characters for the next few patches. Speaking of patches, finished the current story and then decided to watch a bunch of explainer videos because my brain wasn't very good at understanding the convoluted nature of the big reveal that everyone saw coming. Good news is I had mostly understood things despite being half asleep. Bad news is that now my YouTube recommends are full of HSR videos. Well, that and Deltarune Who is the Night speculations. Also, everything is about horse girls. Brony's making a comeback, I guess.
Yeah, these are the slightly less degenerate horse girls, at least.
I've never liked that term or any kind of fan term or anything, but man,
That was kind of gross and weird.
yeah.
It's like any time you give a group a name, it's just a handle to allow people to abuse you with it. That's the only purpose it serves.
Yeah, it just allows you to be painted with a swath and the.
So it has been like 15 years and we still haven't managed to get rid of alt-right,
Yes.
which is anybody to the right of Karl Marx.
Yes. Also, that's the other thing YouTube's been trying to do to me, because I've expressed interest in playing Deltarune at some point. So that means you're going to want all these spoilers videos, aren't you?
Yeah,
The more I see of Deltarune, the less I want to play it. And I didn't want to play it to begin with. So now I'm like obviously, blatantly repulsed by it. Every time it's mentioned, I feel slightly sick.
Don't go anywhere near that community. But anywhere near it.
Like, the Blue Archive community is bad, but the Deltarune community is
The
special.
Blue Archive community keep absolutely to themselves, though. If you're exposed to the Blue Archive community, that's your fault. You have no one else to blame.
But even they can't come to the levels of the Undertale community.
Yeah.
The Undertale and Deltarune communities want everybody to be involved in their degeneracy.
And they're going to be completely radioactive about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just if you want to play it, enjoy the game. Then just stay right away from it.
So basically, Zerathus has demonstrated that the desire sensor is definitely a thing.
Yes, it is.
And,
Damn you, Chi-Chi.
And that if you capitulate to its whims, you are only going to be betrayed in the end.
Yes. Again, damn you, Chi-Chi.
His rationale for passing on Yuzuha is pretty much the same as my rationale for pulling her, because I didn't pull for Vivian. Well, no, that's not correct. I did pull for Vivian and I got Kaleda instead, and then I stopped pulling because I didn't have the spare at the time. Yeah, there's definitely some jank in Fufu's playstyle. Like, she has a couple on her regular combos have a couple of animation lock frames embedded in them that you can't dodge in, and you have to be very careful not to sit on them at the wrong time because you will just get whopped for your trouble.
Yeah.
She's probably got the most dangerous basic combo of any character in my roster, so you need to use her carefully.
Yeah,
But other than that, it's not too bad.
yeah, she has no guard points in any of her attacks, and you're going to get hard locked, especially if you get to the claw swipe part of her animation at a bad time. But
Yeah, when she's not in claw swipe but is going into it, you are absolutely vulnerable. There's lots of little jank things like that. Once you've learned them, and it can take quite a while. In fact, it's best to just do heaps of fights against trash, like use her as a farming unit or something, to get the hang of what you can and cannot get away with her regular combo to avoid getting punted when you're using it. Basically, you just have to practice so that you know what you can and can't do.
yeah, the other solution is to run her on an Eve team and use her basically as an aftershock stunner instead of a main stunner.
I just like playing her. That's why I keep her on field, because I like playing her.
You really like seeing double-digit numbers when you spin on the top.
Well, I usually don't do that. There's not really any reason why you would do that, but
It's just funny how little that damage that does.
I don't know why they needed to make her do so little damage. Like, they could have just let her do, poor damage the way Trigger does poor damage, not like 2 figures. I think that was unnecessary.
That move
Like,
is just
give us
hilarious.
some multipliers. Come on.
I mean, her popcorn chain chomp with its EX does okay damage. I love the popcorn chain chomp.
I don't. I also don't think that you can ever really be in a state of mistake for Tribby. Like, there are so many different teams you can make that fight over Tribby.
Yeah, there is no team I have where Tribby would not at least work.
Yeah, if you're hardened to break, you can't use Tribby in break. Tribby has no purpose in break. Basically, everything else you can make an argument for using Tribby in.
You need to spam ultimates. Oh, Tribby can do that. You need follow up. Tribby can
guess
do that.
You probably wouldn't use her in an Acheron team because that would be silly. Although
Yeah.
you could if you've got the E2 Acheron, like, there's no reason not to. And you probably wouldn't use her in a dot team unless you really, really desperately need some amplification. You could do it though, and it wouldn't be a strict loss. It just wouldn't be that beneficial.
Just wait till a dot character gets released that scales off party HP.
It happen.
Like,
But yeah, I think that Tribby is one of the safest pulls in the game.
yeah, I broke down and threw my why I had to bust the wallet this time is I just said screw it because there's too many situations where Tribby is a good slot filler for the support on a particular team or an amp on a particular team because she can do either.
That's why I went E1 S1 for Tribby, because she just profits wherever you put her.
Yeah,
Like, if you have a team that operates by firing damage at the opponent, she will fit in that team.
yeah, ever since Vol got her, I have exclusively borrowed her no matter what farming I'm doing. When I'm borrowing his characters, it's only Tribby. Need to do AoE up Tribby and Jade, good to go. Single target.
She's also got a really fast ult.
Yeah. I use her on the Saber team right now with Wopo and Sunday. Just because she fires off that thing so much, she juices Saber. But yeah, it's Tribby's hard to justify skip on. Just because she's so good. And she does not do inconsequential damage either. It's not Fat Pony level, but it's not bad.
Well, I mean, the Fat Pony isn't providing buffs though, so like it sort of probably balances out, because you're gonna calculate the contribution of a supporter based on the amount of damage that it adds to the team as a whole. And Tribby just happens to be a support that does part of that herself and part of that through buffs. Whereas, the Fat Pony is not really doing anything to contribute to the team's damage as such. Although, in those narrow cases where you've got the entire team scaling off of HP, like Triby Casterus, then there is some contribution, but that's a pretty narrow use case compared to Triby's use cases. So, Fat Pony generates a lot of damage, but only in those circumstances where you can get that effective healing. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to find the 3.4 plot convoluted. I mean, I didn't have any difficulty understanding it in particular, despite the fact that I watched the latter couple hours through the bottom of a bottle of alcohol, and therefore there's a certain amount of fuzz that's been introduced. But there's quite a bit of like additional subtleties embedded in there, and there's plenty of stuff to dig into, like all of the names that the characters have in the experiment and the numbers associated with them. They all have sort of like symbolic meanings. So if you just want to troll through, lore slop, you can do so. There's like an almost bottomless well of it in Amphorius. It's absolutely loaded to the gills.
Yeah. It's
I saw a post today which was just about all of the mathematical characteristics of the names of the code names of each of the Chrysos heirs, because all of the numbers, those version numbers attached to them, are all like they've all got particular mathematical characteristics, oftentimes observed by particular figures in histories, which have themes tied to those characters, etc.
I see. I just realized Serathis said he got your girlfriend at M1. That means he's got like the ultimate farming unit with insta ult at the start of every fight.
Yeah, I contemplated it. I really did, but in the end I wanted Fufu. I wanted Fufu more.
Yeah.
I mean, now I've got the polychrome. I could have gone for it and still gotten Fufu because Fufu came early for me. But you never know. You never know at the time. So it is what it is. I can always wait for it to come around again.
Yeah.
But that is if I have any polychrome left by then, because Yuzuha's a probable pull for me. Alice is a definite pull for me. And of course there's going to be a Miyabi banner embedded in there as well to try and tempt me to get her to M1. So
yeah, we both passed on Finon, so we don't really have anything to say about that.
Yeah, I've already got Firefly, and Firefly operates the same way as Finon does. I don't really want another character like that, especially not one with penis. He's a little bit gacked for my taste as well.
I'll give Finon, at least during the animated bit they had for him, fighting Dude Face. He had some really good crazy faces and some banger soundtrack going on.
I look at him and I just see gacked. That's the problem. That's my biggest problem with Finon is I look at him when he's in sort of like battle mode and like that's gacked. I'm looking at gacked right now.
Start seeing Apple's poetry. Gax,
well,
gacked in Final Fantasy, the Crisis Core.
I don't know anything about Crisis Core.
Oh, he was Genesis, both visually. He might have been the voice in Japanese too.
I have no idea, but I just see gacked because he looks just like a gack. He looks like one of the because gacked is very visually flamboyant on the stage. And basically that's what Finon reminds me of. It's like, yeah, this is weird. This is weird. This is kind of weird. I couldn't stomach it. But I'm way more interested in Seradre and Hisselin's. Hisselin's mostly for gameplay reasons and also because she looks like Linksha's twin, basically. But Seradre, I think, is a really fun sounding character. I kind of like the pint-sized tyrant, and her backstory that has been introduced so far is quite interesting as well. Like if you read the texts throughout the course of M4S. You see her mentioned on a number of occasions, and she's nominally considered to be dead because she's from a previous era, but the reality is that she actually disappeared and nobody ever found out what happened to her. Sort of like that Prime Minister of Australia.
Yeah.
Gotta name all the local swimming pools after him now. That's what we did.
He's going to like King Arthur return on in Australia's hour of greatest need, is he?
Riding on a shark, probably, yes.
Yeah, so Sarah was basically her version of the flame chase. Basically, is regarded to have failed utterly, but she didn't die in the process. She just disappeared, and technically speaking, nobody really knows what happened to Hislands either. That occasionally somebody will report that they saw her, out at sea or whatever. Like she's become sort of a legendary figure rather than, a historical figure who died. So yeah, they're both still technically not removed from continuity. Although who even knows what has happened to continuity at this point, since we appear to have gone back in time and are now prowling around with many memes.
Mim. Mimi.
Yeah, people are already speculating about what's going to happen in the next planet. I think people seem to have forgotten that M4S is now at the 50% mark on the progress bar. We're not at the 100% mark. We had the sort of this is sort of like the mid-show intermission.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to hear a single person complain about male characters in Hoyo games after Finon's big climactic character moment that's been building up to forever. The first thing he does is burn his shirt off.
But why though? Okay, there's no answer to that, is there?
No,
He just does.
there is no practical reason for him to do so. He just does.
Right.
People are always complaining about that, and they're always going to complain about that. That it is true that there are more female players of Hoyo games than there are of many other gacha IPs. However, still it's easily male dominated. It's not even close, and most of the females are playing have malleable preferences anyway. It seems so. Yeah, it's not really a credible complaint, especially considering the amount of male fan service that they jam in anyway.
Adventuring has a boob
Like,
window.
listen, Mighty never puts a shirt on. Okay,
Yeah,
like Fino may have burned his off, but Mighty never got dressed to begin with.
yeah. So we'll have to see. I really want to think more about M4Ace's story in total when it's done, because every single patch I seem to have even if regardless of my feeling of the individual patch by itself, it's always a we'll see moment, because there's always more, and it's always going to be a lot more because we're only at the halfway point.
And it really could go anywhere from here. Like this, I feel like we've gotten, like, the groundwork has been laid now, and the actual adventure to try and save Amphoria starts at this point. Everything else has been a bit of a boondoggle so far, by comparison.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I think it might be one of those stories that if you have the patience to do it, it pays off to go back through it afterwards. Especially since the story review feature is not going to include any of the foot slogging. It's just going to include the conversations and so on. And then once you've got more perspective and can go through it with a fine-toothed comb and understand a lot of the other stuff, because like I've been revisiting a lot of the older locations and scouting around things, and I've dug up bits and pieces of like books and that I missed earlier, and then from like earlier versions, and it's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now. If I had picked that up during the version it came out in, it would have been completely banal and uninteresting to me. But now I can see what's actually written between the lines in there.
Let's see.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, that's where we're at with those. I hope the new ZZ patch is good. I'm expecting it to be mostly a beat patch. I'm not expecting a lot from it. I'm just hoping the character moments are good. Because
I'm thinking it's going. I'm their plan is to not have beat patches. They said that pretty explicitly. They're going to They're going to try and get into a cadence of rolling the story forward by a sort of like a disciplined amount each time, and have no filler patches, no rest patches. Like the tone might take beats in it, but the story advancement won't.
yeah, but yeah, the new all the summer costumes on everything looks really good. The new characters, what's been revealed to their kits so far, and the official stuff looks really good. I haven't looked at leaks. I never do. Um, but we'll see. It depends on how fun they are to play, on how my pool decisions and financial decisions go for ZZ.
I don't look at leaks either. I see leaks occasionally for the other Ho-Yo games when the algorithm serves them up to me, but it never serves me up ZZZ ones. The kits for upcoming characters, as far as I know them, is all stuff that's been revealed on official live streams.
But we'll have a lot to talk about that with next week.
And next Friday, my time, I think, is going to be the live stream for Genshin, I think, if I recall the schedule. I could be off by a week.
Let's see. Let's check the Wish. Current Wish has 16 days left on it, so that would line up with a week before the next patch. Ish. A week and some change before the next patch is when next Friday will be.
They normally have a week worth of the previous patch following a preview event, so that might line up. I could have the dates correct. Because they usually don't have the stream immediately before the patch. That's usually not the case.
Also, Fern, if you really want Emily, that means to make your Kaniche work, you got 16 days.
I got to grind.
Yep. And we can help.
Well, it's more exploring. It's more exploring would be the easiest way. I mean, you can just push forward the story and start farming that way. There's a good amount that can be gotten like that, or you can just grit your teeth and dig into every nook and cranny of Teyvat.
Yeah, you could just go exploring if that's what you want to do, or you could do.
I've got a entire story section I've barely touched.
Yeah, you've probably got like 1 million character stories pending.
Yeah.
Some of them are short, some of them are not short at all.
Yeah,
I got a lot to dig into, but mostly it's time.
Runs is still my favorite, and it's not close.
Yeah, they did go full retard with that one. But yeah, you gotta do Daddy's story so we can actually help you farm that boss.
Yep.
It's a good story. If you now that you finished Fontaine, you should have enough context to understand what's going on in that story.
Yeah, you play through Fontaine and you've got the knave hanging around, and the whole time you're asking, like, what is her deal? Why is she doing the thing she does?
Aristiel, did you watch the anime for Alicino before doing her story? Because I had watched it long before I ever did her story, and I don't know what the experience is like if you haven't done that.
I had not, and I was able to follow everything perfectly fine, and it all made sense. And I watched it after, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
I'm more so it was fine like that. It's not. Is it better that way?
I don't recall. Well, I don't have a point of comparison because I'm in the opposite.
No, but do you think that it's better that way? Do you think that there's anything in the anime that's like, oh well, that would have just ruined the way it worked in game?
I think there are enough context clues that if you enjoy natural discovery as the story's told in real time, you can do the method that I did just fine and get probably as much. They're probably about equal, I would say. It depends on what you value more. Do you like having the context?
It's a really good short, though. It is a really good short. Definitely worth watching.
Yeah. Do you value the context beforehand, or do you like piecing it together and then getting the fine details filled in? But either way will work. I can try and find the English version to link to Fern so he can check it out. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a short little character vignette about Arlecchino that uh, explains more about her time as Peruer that you
Right.
you won't know about yet because you haven't done her story, but it'll spoil that for you. Well, not spoil, but prime you for it.
Right.
That's the question of, are you able to separate player knowledge from character knowledge?
Yeah.
It depends on the context, I guess, but yes.
Yeah, you can do the story first, and then go watch it afterwards. That's what I did, and it was fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like either way will work, but I can get you the link so you've got it for whichever decision you make.
Because I watched it when
Yeah.
it came out. I didn't, and I hadn't caught up with Genshin at the time. So
But yeah, her story is very good, and you'll unlock Daddy as a boss, and we can help you do that.
Yep.
So,
Clarence is still
So
the best.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just like Clarence so much.
I love Navia in Clorin's event too. Just the player that is
Such a
there to
munchkin.
just. I'm not even sure she's a Timmy or a Munchkin. I think she's just there to try and rile up Clorin as much as she can.
yeah.
Like I could.
Well, I'm doing the vignettes at the moment, and I've got Charlotte basically trying to Wile Coyote Clorend at the moment.
You're doing the what at the moment?
The
It's,
what
it's
are
the
they
World
called?
event, you know.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah,
know
the
what
world
they're
event.
called either.
yeah, those things.
Yeah. She got to get that interview, yo.
What does it look like when a journalist is actually doing their job?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
A fictional entity nowadays. Supposedly, it once existed. Back
Well, this
around.
time she's not exactly doing her job. She's too busy rummaging around through bushes for that.
Yeah,
That's all in the service of the scoop. You're not
It
going
is
to
a
find
service
any modern journalists getting their hands dirty.
yeah. There is precisely one real journalist left in reality, and his name is James O'Keefe. But considering he is the only representative of the traditional journalist faction, they are pretty much extinct.
Yeah.
Dude had to
I mean,
pretend to
it's
be
been
gay
better, but-
last time he did something. His first thing he had to do was he had to pretend to be a pimp.
Well, that's would have been an interesting story.
It was. He caught Planned Parenthood selling aborted baby body parts.
Ugh. And now it's suddenly become grim.
I mean, he's a real journalist that gets the real scoops.
Wasn't he also posing as the pimp to like a 14-year-old girl or something?
Yeah, he caught. I think he did catch a sex operation or a trafficking operation doing that.
Yeesh. Anyway, we should probably look at wrapping up then.
All right.
Yeah, there's certainly not any news this week. I certainly didn't see any. It's these days news is a bit thin on the ground.
Yeah, there's been a lot of sensationalism, a lot of people starting to scream about absolutely nothing. What was the other one I saw?
Then hardly anybody seems to want to make any new games.
Yeah,
He just wants to re-release existing ones.
yeah. We're in the
Yeah.
re-release and live service slop era, which means that just announcements in the traditional sense don't happen as much, or stuff that comes out promoting a new product. So, and especially, and when the cadence of that is slowed to a crawl by just sheer number of volume, the amount of stuff in our wheelhouse also slows to a crawl. So it gets harder and harder to find the traditional news stories that would jump out to us.
Yeah, I did end up watching some content on where the World of Warcraft story is at,
Oh dear.
and it looks like absolute sludge. My
Yeah.
goodness, it's so bad. Like there are lots of criticisms you can make about various stories that are told in various gacha games, and all these people in the main video games community historically have always looked down on gacha games. But like the least among Star Rail's patches is like head and shoulders above the best that World of Warcraft is able to trot out these days. It's just such absolute garbage. Like it's not not even slightly competent in terms of
Yeah.
writing.
Last time I looked at how the content works, it's like every time a major patch drops, you're basically starting from zero again anyway.
So the thing is, it looks to me like they're trying to move in the gacha direction, where every time they patch, they have another chapter of sort of like quote main story unquote, where the main characters will move forward in their sort of understandings and perceptions of the current event. But
They do a thing.
they are such bad writers, like fundamentally, that nothing they do makes any sense. It just ends up like every accolade is unearned, every villainous act is arbitrary and without motivation. Like everything about it is nonsense. It's just really,
Honest,
really bad.
honestly, they kind of burned through all of their backstory and content years ago.
Well,
Well, they're trying to milk Stromgard at the moment. Um, but everything seems to have devolved into sort of like the whole purpose is to pat the back of their disabled half elf black woman paladin that they've set
Yep.
up as the center point of the entire story. That everything is just about making her look good. When mainly she looks like a brain dead thug most of the time, and then gets credited with everything that goes right. Yeah, the basically the whole thing is completely incompetent. It seems like they're trying to rehash some sort of fusion of the Scarlet Crusade and Defias Brotherhood smushed into one type of plot line. Otherwise, it's the same, except that they don't have the sort of the concrete motivations that the Defias Brotherhood and the Scarlet Crusade had.
Yep.
They're just like, oh well, they're bad guys who happen to be like extremists and they're racist and stuff.
Yeah.
Except it doesn't make
Anywho,
any sense at all. Like they're constantly trying to do the racist thing, but the whole shtick about having this they're like from Arathi, except they're like racist and stuff. Well, like the whole thing with the those guys was that they were an alliance between um elves and humans and had a close relationship with the dwarves. But no, they're racist
yeah.
because
Just don't think except.
because they think that the current moment requires them to have a racism Aesop in the video game.
yeah. Well,
Anyway.
ugh.
So for all the people who thought that Metzen would save World of Warcraft, you was wrong.
Yeah. He did.
I don't doubt the cope is off the charts for it though.
Oh yes, they are absolutely, as the kids would say, glazing this one. Like the commentary is just rhapsodizing about how incredible it is, and it's complete shite. Like it's some of the most incompetent writing I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah, my brother did play it for a while and just told me that the at least the goblin expansion was fun because basically you just make jokes about explosions and you've got goblins.
It's there's sort of like going back to an old well, really.
It
Not
is.
It's not exactly creative.
Though I think Gallywix was the final boss of that, so yeah, I think the Horde's going to run out of leaders again.
Well, they're just going to run out of characters.
Got to
Like,
stop killing them off.
generally, everybody's going to either take a turn at being a villain, or they're going to be elevated to some ridiculous level. And I keep seeing this picture going around, and I don't know if it's legit or not. But I guess what's his name? Khadgar needs a wheelchair now, in spite of healing magic being a thing.
Wasn't he dead at the start of this expansion?
I don't know. I don't
I don't
understand
know.
this anymore. But yeah, I think it was Khadgar seen as just sort of like going around in a magic wheelchair so that he can be disabled
It's a slight
instead of like
improvement from being dead, I guess. But this is well, he'll probably just get better.
you
Some
can bring
arbitrary point.
people back from the dead and you can't fix his spinal column.
Yep. Nope.
No, it happened in a cutscene.
It did happen in a cutscene, so it doesn't count.
Well, that's true. Cutscene stuff does tend to stick, but that doesn't make it more sensible.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, is that a different
But-
light novel than the last one she just pulled out? It is.
Yeah, I think honestly he'll probably just arbitrarily be perfectly fine at some random point later. Mostly because they forgot.
I'm a little bit depressed and incredulous that World of Warcraft isn't dead, because it seems like they're doing their best to kill it.
Just put it out of its misery at this point.
Boy, he just got so much money coming in from the people that can't rip that band-aid off.
It's not hard to unsub. At least it's not as hard as it is to use freaking whatchamacallit, the FF14 unsubbing thing.
Yeah,
That
that's a
website is an absolute shit show.
You know, it is hard.
I don't even think they're trying to make it hard to unsub. It's just so user unfriendly that it's hard to work out how.
Yeah. Workstation.
Yeah.
Even the new thing they got, like, come on, people.
Yeah. Anyway, we were wrapping up.
Yep. Email topic of the week. If you played the Star Rail event, let us know. If you've got anything of interest to talk about, let us know. Man, that was a yawn that came out of
It
nowhere.
really seems like nothing is happening anywhere right now. So
Nope, just drama.
Yep. And we will happily give our dumb takes on it. All right, folks. Next week we'll be back with CZZ stuff and anything else that crosses the feeds.